Action!
Raging Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? That's up.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies, gentlemen, children, babies, Cajun Nation, what's up? What's up? I am fired up. I don't know about you guys. It's been a while. Back, better than ever. We are the Raging Review Podcast. Hello, good evening. I'm Jerry, joined by Nick and Josh, the escaped political prisoner. That's an interesting title to go by tonight, Josh. It's good to be back, everybody. We're going to talk. We really got a lot to talk about because we missed out on a lot. We'll kind of review on some of the things we missed, some of the highlights. Not too much because, right, we want to enjoy the present as softball, baseball are dominating right now. We'll get into that. We'll give a little bit of insight of our time away. And, yeah, this is going to be a roundtable discussion tonight. We're not really going to get too much into detail about things. We're just going to talk. That's what we do. So, Nick, Josh, it's good to be back, boys. What's happening?
Yeah, you came in hot there, brother. I wasn't ready for all that. I was just kind of ready for what's up, brother? And then you did that whole thing. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to look, dude. We're already getting some comments out there. I know a lot of those guys have been waiting for us to come back. So it's nice to be back and see your ugly mugs. But we're here, baby, and we're here to stay.
I was waiting for a Ric Flair woo at the end of that opening.
Woo!
Hey, yeah, look, a lot has happened since we've last commented. It is good to be back. Good to be back in the saddle, as they say. Hey, by the way, I want to give Cajun Vic, aka Neil Vincent, a shout out. I didn't drink the two beers that he bought me at the Teague. We saved one, and I wanted to save it for our next recording. So thanks to Cajun Vic, I was able to enjoy a couple of cold ones at, I think it was the ODU Sunday game. I don't know if it's because I had my hat on straight, but in his honor, I wore my hat straight there for old Cajun Vic, and I'm enjoying the cold one on the recording tonight. So if you're listening, buddy, hey, let bygones be bygones. Let's move on from here.
That was an interesting turn of events there. By the way, while we're giving shout outs, did Mrs. Man About Town make this nice Raging Review?
She didn't. I had those commissioned, executed all the way through. That was from a Ward Master, actually, who
nice. These are legit, man.
Friend of the pod and former sponsor. So
thank you.
They did a great job. Yeah, they did a great job. And Nick finally, after 2 years, got his whiskey glass. We're supposed to do that for Christmas 1 year, but something got in the way, and then 2 years later, I sent it to him I got together with him on Friday, Good Friday, with the family, and I remembered to bring it.
Well, fantastic, guys. It's good to be back. So much has happened. We got so much to catch up on. Wow. But first, before we do that, I know it just kind of, I feel like we're overwhelmed a little bit. But before we do that, let's talk about our sponsors.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for joining Raging Review for another weekly episode. We'd just like to encourage you to patronize our great sponsors like Dr. Brett Venable and Recovery Chiro Med. Have you been in a car accident or hurt yourself lifting on the job? Are you having neck pain or back pain, but really don't want to deal with a long, drawn-out process? Then call the chiropractor Raging Cajun athletes use for their neck and back pain, Dr. Brett Venable. The bottom line is, you just need to feel better. You need to get better quickly. That's where Dr. Brett Venable comes in to make all the difference. Dr. Venable and his integrated team of rehab, chiropractic, and medical doctors have 3 locations in Acadiana to serve you. Opelousas, New Iberia, and of course, main office in Lafayette. Dr. Brett Venable is one of very few chiropractors recognized by the state of Louisiana as a chiropractic specialist. He is also the only chiropractor in the Cajuns Healthcare Alliance and the only chiropractor on the board at Tulane School of Professional Advancement. Before you start to stress about the process, remember, this is exactly why you pay for car insurance. These situations are exactly why you carry workman's comp. There's no need for a court date. Your first call should be to Dr. Brett Venable and his great team at Recovery Chiro Med. No hassle, no waiting, and quick relief. Come and find out what our Raging Cajun athletes and over 10,000 Acadiana residents already know. For more information, call the Lafayette office at 337-988-2188 or visit recoverychiromed.com. recoverychiromed.com. We'd like to thank Dr. Brett Venable for being an RCAF member and the exclusive chiropractic sponsor of the Raging Review podcast. Also, a huge thank you to Absolutely Embroidery and More. We know how much Cajun Nation loves their gear. At Raging Review, we get our gear from Miss Phyllis Thibodeau and the team at Absolutely Embroidery and More. Absolutely has a massive inventory of Raging Cajun apparel to choose from. If you can't find something you like, Absolutely can make something you'll like right there in the shop. And if your creation proves to be a popular item with customers, Absolutely will give you a little incentive for helping out with the cause. Bring in your vermilion and white shirts, hats, shorts, socks, dresses, jackets, sweaters, or whatever garment you need to represent the Cajuns. Absolutely also offers customized embroidery services to promote your business on hats, polos, uniforms, etc. Absolutely rounds out the collection with an assortment of exciting accessories for the Lady Cajuns in your life. Earrings, headbands, bracelets, clutches, and bags are just a few options to complete her spicy look. Pass by 3010 Collie Saloon Road in Lafayette and see the wonderful ladies at Absolutely Embroidery and More today. They'll treat you to quality Cajun clothing, complimentary gourmet cookies, and a friendly conversation. And if you're an out-of-town Raging Cajun, visit them on the web at absolutelyembroideryandmore.com or visit their social channels on Instagram or Facebook. There, you'll find pictures of what the ladies are putting on the shelves in real time. Once again, folks, please support local businesses and please support businesses that support the Raging Cajuns and especially the Raging Review podcast.
And once again, thank you to our sponsors. Again, Dr. Brett Venable with Recovery Chiro Med, Absolutely Embroidery and More. Also, don't forget to, if you can, to give to the Crew Along. The Crew Along is the official NIL collective for Louisiana athletics. They exist to enhance the experience of Raging Cajun student athletes and provide experiences for them to connect with our engaging and enthusiastic fan base. They help with student athletes by monetizing their name, image, and likeness through experiences and connections in the community. These experiences will connect the student athletes to your family and businesses. The mission of the Crew is to raise funds and makes connections to provide name, image, and likeness opportunities for UL student athletes, whether it's $2, $20, $200, $2,000, whatever. Any amount of money will help for these student athletes. Please, if you can, give to the Crew Along, the official NIL collective for Louisiana athletics. So anyway, guys, before we start, I wanted to ask, last week was Holy Week. We just experienced Easter. Nick, I know you had a crawfish boil. Sorry, I was absent, but I got to ask, how was your Easter for each of you? Pretty fun holiday?
Yeah, it was actually nice. I'm disappointed. It was the second year in a row that we didn't play at home for Easter or the days leading to Easter last year. It was the same this year, hoping next year we make a return back to Russo Park because I would like to attend some games while I'm back home. It was super nice. As I said, Josh and Catherine brought the kids. My nieces and nephews were there with their children. They had a great time playing. We polished off some Blantons and even got Mrs. Man About Town to have some whiskey, even though she didn't want any. I was able to convince her. It was very easy to have some. So no, it was a great time. It's always great to be back in Lafayette and see all of my friends and hang out with Josh and his family. Sad part is everybody wants. I need to get back more often. I know that's a thing, but for me, it's so nice getting back and everybody wanting to hang with me and not having enough time is kind of stinks. So I need to get back more. That's going to be my resolution going through the rest of the year, so that I don't have to wait 2 years to get this glass from Josh because we keep forgetting to meet up.
Is it 2 years in a row on Good Friday? Or
2
is that
years in a row. Yeah.
two out of
Yeah.
three?
And your wife said we need to make this a tradition. I'm like, well, y'all came last year. Y'all are here this year. I think we've set that tradition.
We're on our way. Yeah, the kids had a great time. Coach Doe's kids were there. We threw the football around the backyard, in the backyard, out of the backyard.
I was going to
Who
say
knows?
mostly out of the backyard.
Yeah, kids got a cannon. What was it? Rhett, right? Rhett,
Yeah,
Rhett, and
yeah.
then little Beckett, 3 years old. I think
He's a
lefty.
terror.
Hey, he's going to be a ball player. But yeah, we had a great time. But look, don't be fooled by Catherine. She looks innocent. She's a whiskey neat type. All right. She knows what she's doing. And I think she took the rest of the Blantons before we had the opportunity to finish it off. So anyway, shout out to the Raging Burners who have joined the stream. That's great. I think my favorite thing about our absence has been the rise of the Raging Burner group. I don't know who they are, but I would like to know because it's been fun.
And we've been accused of being the burners at some point, but I think they came out with a couple of beach pictures in Destin with their faces blanked out, and that set everything aside, and people now know it's not us. But I was telling you guys earlier this week, like Southern Miss fans are like that. They're funny. They come out with these hilarious accounts. They engage with other fans. They trash talk. And I've been wanting our fans to do it. So if anything great came out of this, is that we're starting to be a little bit more like Southern Miss fans. We're finally getting some creative people on social media engaging with other programs and their fans. So that's been really awesome to see. So good job there, boys.
And there's a couple of them that are really witty, and I love the fact that there's some sort of a baseball connection. Like one of them's digital baseball uniform camo. The Teague Pines, that's a good one.
We had the puffy jacket at one point.
Puffy jacket's good. I mean, it's all really great. And what's cool is they use some of Tony's old phrases and slogans and things like that to kind of post. And I don't know. I think that's great. And I wanted to say this because we always want to plug the sponsor. Christian Landry just posted, and we appreciate it that he swung by Absolutely Embroidery several times because of the pod. So please patronize the sponsors. Of course, they help to make this a reality. But I mean, it makes it easy. Absolutely Embroidery has some of the best stuff you can find. So they help a lot with their stuff.
It's funny. Y'all mentioned about how some of the Raging Burners were in Destin. I was actually in Destin last week for Easter break. Kayla had her spring break off of school, and so we brought my daughter to the beach for a couple of days. And I was actually tempted for one night. So during the Grambling game, my wife and Kayla and I went to get some dinner right around Crystal Beach where they were staying. And I was thinking, like, man, I'm going to DM one of these guys and just be like, what's your address? I'm just going to come barge in and knock on your door. And then I realized I'm a little too old for this. I can't really go barge in on the spring break crowd, knowing that, 15 years ago, I was doing the same. But it was pretty funny because even I gotta admit, being in Florida, they were still there to watch the game and enjoy UL sports. So it still attaches. And no, Andy, I am not one of the burner accounts or the Raging Burners, but I must say that they're very witty.
Because you didn't text them because you were too busy texting me your stupid picture of your freaking seafood soup or whatever you called it. That was stupid. I'm like, of course you're gonna do that. That's the dumbest thing ever. Damn boomer.
Look, it is now a tradition of mine. Whenever we were talking about food, about how Cajun food in other states is not necessarily authentic Cajun food, and of course, there's this place in Destin. I'm not going to say the name, but they call it gumbo. But it's still really good. So I just call it seafood soup. So every time I go there, I order it on purpose. I take a screenshot and I always send it to Nick. And
Nick did not look good. It looked like Campbell's. It looked exactly like Campbell's out of a can. And you're like, with that stupid little face you made.
Can confirm. Looked terrible.
It was delicious, guys. Okay. So I'm going to have to agree to disagree. But anyway, y'all. So I do want to address, first of all, I want to say thank you to all of Cajun Nation out there who have shown their love over the last month or so. I mean, Josh, how many times did we get asked, whether it was at baseball games, just random places, when are y'all coming back? Where are y'all? What's going on? How come you left? And I don't know about you, but at the baseball game, at least once every game, I was getting asked that.
Oh yeah, at least once, multiple times every game. But I chalk that up to the fan base that they tell you isn't out there. It's out there. That's what it meant to me. I mean, obviously, I love the support for the pod. I mean, we put so much work into it and building it and everything, but this whole idea that we don't have fans and that people don't care, and it's such a farce. It's not a representation of reality. So that's what I got out of it. But the other thing is that you don't realize how many people pay attention, or I can take it back to who pays attention. You don't realize who pays attention and how often they follow until it goes away, and then they bring it up. I was floored to find out and hear some of the things that we heard. So that was cool. But just to say, there's a lot of people out there that care a lot about Raging Cajun athletics.
They do exist. And I just want to say also, I think one thing that I've learned since we were gone was that, there is a silent majority out there. When you hear people say things like it's a small group of fans, or it's a little group on Raging Cajun, or a little group here, that's not true. That's actually very false. There's a lot of Cajun fans out there who want to have or see this program succeed. They may not write $100,000 checks. They may not sit in the suite and drink their champagne, but they're there. They're in the seats. They go to the games. They wear their Cajuns gear around town. They exist. And I find that there were a lot of them out there who may not attend the games as many games as they used to, but they'll still watch the game on TV if they have time. They're still there. And that's one thing I learned. Also too, I want to address some rumors that we had heard all over social media. Let's see. I wrote a few down. So
wait, before you go,
Okay,
Jerry, before
okay,
we go
go
with the
ahead.
rumors, I just want to add on to that
Yeah.
I'm not in Lafayette and I can't, like, people don't come up to me in Houston and be like, hey man, where's the pod? But I will tell you, I have not heard as much scoop and stuff that people were like just dying, like secrets they were dying to tell us in the last month. I mean, we have got, you want to talk about people, they're like, oh, they've been here forever because they know where all the skeletons are buried. We know where all the bodies are buried now, man. I mean, you want to talk about people associated with the program coming out and telling us what's really going on? That has been interesting to me. But anyway, go ahead, Jerry, because I enjoyed more than anything people DMing me and being like, hey, did they shut y'all down? I'm like, how can you shut us down? We're not in communist China.
Well,
But Nick,
Well-
to your point about what we have found out or what we've been told, or it's the who.
Exactly.
It's who has reached out has
Thank
blown
you.
my mind. Even me, who I mean, we've been in some pretty high level meetings where we've been told some pretty important things. The stuff that we've been told over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks, I feel I
Yeah.
guess I'll leave it there for now.
Well, so I want to address some of the rumors. First of all, contrary to popular belief, no, the administration did not ban us. No, we were not threatened with crazy lawsuits from the university. They did not say we'll sue you.
Well, not Rage and Review per
Not
se.
Rage Review. What are you trying to say, Josh?
I think it's pretty public.
Right. No, we didn't. And that's another thing. We didn't take our ball and run. You have a few people out there who, they're a little critical of what we say. And some of them are like, well, you took your ball and you ran home because you didn't get your way. That's not true. We went on a little bit of a break, and we wanted people to see the kind of impact that our fans really do have. It's not just about us three at the podcast. We speak on behalf of a lot of fans. And, contrary to popular belief, like I said, this is not a minority group. This is not a small, minute group of people. These are passionate fans who go to games, who show up, whenever they can. And they're the ones who fill the stands. They don't sit in the suites. They don't sit in the club level all the time, but they show up. And when the stadium does look full, or at least somewhat full, they're the ones that make it look that way. You may not notice them at the big donor meetings. You may not notice them, again, writing $100,000 checks, but they're there. And that's the kind of people we represent. This is a blue collar fan base. This is a blue collar program. And we're proud of that. And we wear that with a badge of honor. The guys, that's who we are. Cajuns are blue collared people. That's our culture. And so we just kind of wanted to go because we wanted people to realize, like, look, when you shut us down and you don't let us do certain things, you're not just shutting our voices down. You're shutting the people's voices down. You're shutting the fans down. When we hear rumors and things that the reason, when I hear things like, well, people aren't showing up to games because the fans are just negative and it's turning away people. You're lying. Here's what you're doing. It's a lie. And when you lie to our fans, when you lie to people that are donors, they give money, they're paying customers, they're investors. When you lie to those people, you can't act surprised that they're not going to show up. They're not going to reciprocate with love. They're going to tell you, okay, well, the heck with you. I'm not going. And so we wanted people to see that. And my daughter's going to sleep. Night, sweetie. I love you. And we want them to realize, like, look, at the end of the day, we might not write, $100,000 checks, but we're still here. And we were here before you were here, and we'll be here long after you're gone. So we wanted to kind of go away a little bit, and just as a way to kind of say, look, if you don't appreciate what we do, if you don't appreciate the fans, look, I'm sorry. I mean, we'll just go silent for a little bit. And I'll say this, we talk about the burner accounts. Look, there were social media accounts that really stepped up their game in our absence. Like you said, the Raging Burners are fantastic. They're hilarious. I mean, the stuff that I read, even to this day, they're funny. I actually got to meet one of the, he didn't tell me which burner it was, but at the baseball game, I actually ran into one of them. So they have a good time with it. But also too, the number of times Rage and Review got tagged on social media during the time when we were gone, especially during certain games, whether it was baseball, softball, basketball, because there were some things that happened while we were gone, and we'll review that in a little bit. But I just got to say, again, we never left. We never left. We may not have been here on the episodes. We may not have been here on social media, but we still support the program regardless. This is something we do on the side. So anyway, I just wanted to say, I got to give a shout out to our fans, the fans out there, the Cajun fans out there that showed us love. Thank y'all so much. And look, we're here and we're not going anywhere. So to the people that don't like us, too bad. We're still here and we'll be here for a long time.
What Jerry's trying to say is that we paused our services to prove a point. The fan base isn't huge, but it certainly exists. And without the platforms that are created in a grassroots manner, you have nothing. And for a month, when you beat Oklahoma, the number one team in the country on like a 1 million game winning streak,
71 game win streak,
you had more national coverage than you had local. You have no beat writer. You have no radio coverage. The nightly news gives you 2 or 3 minutes tops between 5 and 6 p.m. We're what you have. And when you don't have us, you don't have anything. So you can either, I'm not even asking you to embrace us. And I'm talking about the administration. I'm not asking you to embrace what we do. But you damn sure better recognize what we do, how we can rally troops, how we have established a platform that is a sounding board for the regular fan. If you don't, you are actively telling people that you want to support your program. We don't care what you think. And that's why we did it, to be succinct.
And I'm going to add to that, Josh. They like to use our content when it's convenient for them. So they're not going to listen to when we say tailgating prices are ridiculous, you need to lower it. They're going to say you're negative. They're not going to listen when we say you're, signing someone to a 4-year contract as a coach is ridiculous when they've had 2 NCAA tournament wins in 15 years. Then you're too negative. You're inflammatory. And you can't have it both ways with us.
Can't have it both ways.
You can have it both. You can have it your way with the local media because you can take away those credentials.
You control them.
You control them. But the thing is, it's not even about the fact that they told us we couldn't interview a coach. Like that sucked. Trust me, I was pissed because we've had Gunner on before. But it goes back to, yeah, you can do it, but you have to follow our rules and you can never be negative against us. And that's just not going to happen. So if we never interview a coach, I tell you what, I kind of misunderstood the dates because that's my fault, but we had a coach lined up to interview from other teams for baseball. I was ready to come back week 1 and say, we got a coach from another team to interview. And I guarantee you this football season, I don't care if I have to move mountains. I will have a coach from every football team that we play this season just to prove a point. They're not so insecure that they can't come onto a fan podcast and have a conversation. So there's a problem somewhere out there, and it's not about the not interviewing the coach thing was a trigger for us going away from a little bit and stepping back, but it goes back to, oh, we love you guys. You guys are awesome. Let's work together. And then, oh, but we don't like everything you say. So sorry, you can't do it anymore. I'm never gonna capitulate to somebody wanting us to be positive 100% of the time, because then I'm just lying to our fan base, which is who we're supposed to represent.
Well, then you're North Korean media. That's what North Korea does. Everything's positive. Everybody's happy all the time, and the circumstances.
Well, all of a sudden, while we're gone, they have this positive podcast that pops out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, everything is happy and wonderful and roses. And trust me, there's a lot of good stuff we're going to talk about tonight, and the rest of hopefully this baseball and softball season that is absolutely amazing. But man, like it's not all positive. When I go into my year-end review, I'm going to have some great things that I'm told I do, but I'm also going to say, I hear from my boss, hey, there's a lot you got to work on, and here are the things you have to work on. And then I take that constructive criticism and I work on it. And then the next time we meet, they say, man, you really knocked that out of the ballpark. Now here's some more stuff you need to work on. But they don't want to hear that part. Their review that they want from Rage and Review is only supposed to be positive, no negative. Don't tell us anything negative because we're doing everything great. And that's just not reality. And I'm not going to lie to our fan base. I'm sorry.
And
that utopian podcast got ratioed into oblivion also. So
yeah, that was
thanks, burners.
Yeah, it wasn't just burners. It was fans. They were raised. I mean, it wasn't just burners. It was regular fan accounts.
It was.
Now we're talking about Rage and Review. I mean, sorry, I get. No, I'm not sorry. No, what am I saying? Sorry. No, I'm saying that sarcastically. The heck with that. You want to play that game. But anyway, at the end of the day, like you said, Josh, technically, if you really think about it, the main beat writer from the Advertiser is gone. He's covering TSAP Sports. That's it.
But was he even a beat writer? Because the only time we heard from him was when something negative happened. And guess what? Mr. Negative has press credentials. So
he's gone. So who else do they have? You got
you got some local news. He got credentials, right? Because always got to be positive, but $8 million deficit. But
the fact of the matter is, when it comes to exclusive Raging Cajun coverage, we're all you got, dude. So
but Jerry, just don't lie to us. Just don't lie to us. If you don't want us to be a part of anything connected with the program that is interview, just don't lie. Just don't come to us and me and say you are a great partner, and then 3 months down the road be like, nah, we're good.
Or rip off everything we do on social media, or rip off the stuff we say on the pod and spin it in
and
your
then
way.
Say it's not good enough, right?
And then say it's not good enough. They use what we put out, and then they use it for their own pages, which is incredible. If you go back to Miguez getting in trouble for stealing Doug Domain's content, he got in trouble for that. Now we've come completely full circle on that.
I think what gets me is that when I hear people close to the program ask things like, well, why? And I've heard it through multiple people from the program say, why do the fans need to know everything? I have
boggles my mind.
I have a problem with that because, first of all, those fans are your customers. Number one.
More specifically, that came from the administration. I'm not going to get too specific because I don't want to get Jerry in trouble, but it came from the administration. Why do fans think they need to know things is what I was told.
But it's not just, but Josh, it's not just one person. It's there's more than one person that I've heard it from over the last couple of years.
That's a good point.
And when you say things like that, first of all, I can give you 100 reasons, but number one, we're your donors and we're your paying customers. So number one, those two things requires transparency in general. You should be as transparent as possible. Number two, your athletic program. Now, our athletic program is a little bit different, but for most athletic programs, your top two ways you are funded besides revenues are, especially for public institutions, your donor base and tax dollars. So the taxpayer indirectly funds a lot of your athletic programs, which means you should be 10 times more transparent than you think you are now, because the taxpayer is also funding your program, which includes your paychecks, your all of the fees and all of that all coalesces together with what funds your program and keeps the lights on in your buildings, in your stadiums, in your facilities.
Jerry,
so to say that is just, to me, it's mind-boggling. It is crazy to even ask that question.
Let me dumb it down even further. It's like going to a restaurant and saying, hey, this dish looks great. I'll give you money for it. What's in it? And they coming back to, why do you think you need to know what's in the dish? Like, just buy it. It's good. You need to buy it. And we're like, well, I want to know what's in it. That's none of your business. Why do you think you need to know what's in the dish that you're buying? You have no business knowing that. That's how ridiculous this is. Like, I am an investor, and if you're asking me to give you money. So if I want to know what's going on in a particular situation, I'm not saying I need to know everything, but I'm saying if you have a situation like the Michigan State deal, if I want to know where $500,000 went, if I'm having to pay for that as a fan, I think it's your responsibility to tell me. So I again, it's like going to a restaurant, ordering food, and them telling you, well, you don't need to know the ingredients, you just buy it.
Well, the ultimate slap in the face is that they actually changed the nomenclature and they actually call you an investor. And we have an AD get on the radio, and he gets on these interviews and he calls you an investor. And you go, okay, I'll invest. Now, where's your quarterly financials?
Nah.
Why the hell
Why do you need to know?
Why the hell do you think you need to know that? You're not entitled to that information. Oh, I'm not? Okay, cool.
Well, it's basically give me money. All right, so here's money. Where's my money going? Why do you need to know that? I mean, to really sum it up, give me money. All right, where's it going? Don't worry about it. All right,
I have still yet to find somebody that can explain this in a rational way where it doesn't look like they're trying to kill the fan base on purpose. There is, look at the news that came out today. We're doubling tailgating prices. What freaking genius came up with that idea?
But are we, Josh? Because like, I can't even understand. Jerry and I were just talking about this. Like, it's $1,000, but it's not $1,000. But then you can get 200 here, but then you give 1,000 here, and then 1,000 there. Then it's 500. Like, it's
you give the equivalent of $1,000, including a Champions Fund donation, then it can be the $200 or the 500, whatever.
It is this amount, and that's what it costs to tailgate.
Yeah, just
so what I think it is that they're trying to give you an extra incentive to buy season tickets across the board. They're trying to give you an extra incentive to be a season ticket holder. But to me, your target demographic is that white collar group that we keep talking about that's getting all the attention, and the blue collar guys fall by the wayside. So if you're not buying season tickets and you're, not donating to the Champions Fund, you're paying $1,000 to tailgate. Now, does that sound like it's going to help you tailgate or not? I'm going to go with not, obviously. So for the regular person who doesn't have season tickets, you will pay $1,000 to tailgate. Whoever came up with that genius, brilliant idea needs a raise, and I'm sure they'll get promoted for sure.
Well, not to mention, we can't have general parking in the parking lot in Lot E because it's too much liability. Meanwhile, they got Powerline Cirque du Soleil going on this weekend in the parking lot with all the electricians or whatever, the acrobats. The same place.
It looks like crap.
How ironic! The same place they said we can't park in Lot E, which is where I call it Powerline Cirque du Soleil. That's where it is. They can't park. We can't park with general parking there with general admission because it's too much liability. So we're going to put power lines, and we're going to do all kind of tricks and all kind of acrobats.
Jerry, that might be the wittiest thing you've ever come up with in the entire history of me knowing you. I do like that though.
Well, that's what it is.
Came up with that, didn't you? You couldn't have come up with that.
No, I did because I like Cirque du Soleil. I've seen a few Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, okay.
That part is not surprising.
But isn't it ironic? I mean, it's a great production. Isn't it ironic, though, the same place where we suggest charging the park, they can't do it because of liability. So they're basically going to put a power line circus in that spot.
It's not ironic, Jerry. It is par for the course.
That is great.
Agreed.
It is par for the course. It is what we have come to expect. We too much liability, but let's have a whole car show with golf carts running people over.
Mardi Gras parade,
right?
They had the Mardi Gras parade in the parking lot. I mean, Mardi Gras floats, drunk people flipping over the float. I mean,
Seth nailed it. Pay $1,000 to tailgate or pay $6,000 for an entire car show. It's great. It's so perfect. Like, look, you gotta. I've because of what we now know, and the turn that Rage and Review has made, and I think we've built some bridges over the last month. You gotta laugh at it. At this point, you have to laugh at it. Now that you know the guts and you know for sure what's really going on, it is so perfectly hilarious that they built a power line village in what they call, what is it? What do they call it, Jerry? Little Baghdad or something? Little Haiti or whatever it's called?
Little Beirut.
Little
whatever.
Beirut in the corner over there, where literally, was it 50,000 cars pass that intersection every day?
8,000.
80,000 cars pass that intersection every day. We didn't have the balls enough to put a Bass Pro Shop over there, which is what they wanted to do. No. Let's build a power line village. That looks fantastic. It truly is. It's so funny in small time. Like I don't even think we can properly describe how bad it is.
It's something, man. It's some Shaws. I'll leave it at that.
Look, it is what it is. But in the meantime,
so 10 years from now, we will come back. And I just want to be able to say, I told you also, they killed the fan base on purpose. For what reason, I don't know yet. But in 10 years, we'll look back and we'll say, holy shit, they really did.
But Josh, I know you say that, and I know it seems like that, but other times I look back and think, are we this dysfunctional and just out of touch with reality?
It's a great point. You can be dysfunctional and out of touch with reality when your product is free to tailgate, your tickets are $12 a piece, and people need something to do on a Saturday. You can't be dysfunctional when there's a Top Golf and a Dave & Buster's and this and that and a brand new park out at YSC where you got massive amounts of tournaments and things to do. Lafayette has quadrupled in size with regard to the Metro, right? There's stuff to do now. That they've cracked down on the drinking. They've cracked down on the Greeks. They've cracked down on everything. It costs $200 to park now. It costs $1,000 to tailgate. It costs how many thousands of dollars for season tickets now? You can't be dysfunctional and expensive. You can be dysfunctional and cheap when there's nothing else to do, but you can't be competitive, expensive, and dysfunctional. That's the difference.
Well, you said a key word for Bob John Dave & Buster's. That was a trigger word right there.
That's DMB is where they go. Pop shot for life.
Oh my gosh. And it's a good point because we've been saying that for the last couple of years. Lafayette isn't what it was in the 1980s. There's a lot more to do now, which means there's a lot more competition for the disposable income of people here. And if you have an option of going to Dave & Buster's or Top Golf where you get the full-fledged experience of having a good time for a decent price, people rather do that than, like you said, pay $1,000 to tailgate, especially if, like in 2021, 3 of your games were on Tuesday and Thursday nights. So you may only have two games during the whole season that's on a Saturday where you actually may have time to put your RV or set up your tent out there. So is it really worth that kind of money? I understand you got to make money somewhere, but what we're saying is it's time to brainstorm. It's time to brainstorm and find other avenues to make money. That's why when we suggest those things, they're not that outlandish ideas, but at the same time, I know it's a little different than what these administrators are comfortable with. But at this point, does it really hurt to try? That's the biggest thing, is just try at this point and see what happens. If it works, great. If it fails, just go back to what you were doing before. There's no net loss here, is what I'm trying to say.
Can I put the man about town spin on that comment? Because that was really nice.
Go ahead.
Great job, Jerry. Very nice. Very well said. Very measured. Very reasonable. I'm going to say it my way. Get off of your asses. Stop following a blueprint that works at Missouri and in the Midwest. It doesn't work here. Do something different. It was time to brainstorm in 1998. This is 2024. This is a completely different landscape of college football. Nobody's paying $10,000 for a club suite or for a club pass and 4 season tickets to sit in where the upper deck used to be. Nobody's paying that to watch ULM and Texas State. You're crazy. That price is so dumb. I don't even know. You're going to sell 34 suites at the price they're asking for at a 3 or 4 year commitment? So it's stupid. And when you ask them, well, how did you come up with that number? Well, it worked at K-State. Oh, really? It worked at a Big 12 school? You don't, what? All of it is so ridiculous. All of it. They're screwing up the tour where they sell you the idea that you need club passes. That's how bad it is.
But I was talking to somebody at U of H. That is a support. My dog is going crazy. All right, dog. So I was talking about somebody at UH and another one of my friends who's a big donor at Rice. And we were talking about things like tailgating and all that. And they were telling me the prices. And it's cheaper in Houston to tailgate and get tickets to those games than it is for Louisiana. And we're talking about a Big 12 school. Is that what UH and an AAC school? And
they're Big
charging
12 now.
Right. And I'm talking about a metro the size of 6 million people in Houston, and they're cheaper, and white collar people are paying, now again, they're not showing up, but we're talking about they are for UH. We're talking about a white collar industry around Houston where people move to get these jobs. And then you go to Lafayette, that's a blue collar town historically. Now there's oil money there. But again, at homecoming a couple years ago, I'm sitting unsolicited listening to people in the tailgating spots goes, we tailgated for 15 years. They raised the prices and I can't afford it anymore. So you rather have it empty and nobody there and charge ridiculous prices than have it full and make a little bit of money.
I think my favorite one was I had heard. So I'll spill the beans on some of the things we heard while we had our 1 month hiatus. So obviously in the Cajun Dome for basketball season, they have those seats along courtside, and they added the prices or they increased the price because you had that, that little, what was it? That VIP Shaws over there. Josh?
Was it? I thought that was an employee gathering spot
behind the basket. Yeah. Well, somebody and look, they actually made some decent money off of that, but somebody was like, well, why?
It was completely empty every game.
Apparently they sold some decent seating. Now they didn't sell it out, I don't think, but they asked them, why are you raising the prices so much? You know what the answer was? Because ODU does it. Now, ODU is in the heart of basketball country. ODU was, I think their record was like 7-20 something this year, and they still led the league in attendance. Okay. ODU basketball attendance is the way our attendance is for the diamond sports. You can't compare to ODU. But in the meantime, you have a basketball program right now where I'm just going to say it, the fan support is dwindling. I mean, it is a waterfall of just terrible support. And yet you're upping the price because you want to compare it to a school that leads the league in attendance. I mean,
Jerry, we're overpricing our tailgate so much that people are going down the street 60 miles down the road and getting a cheaper deal and a paved lot.
Yeah.
As they're playing SEC schools. Now, as a casual fan, now we're not talking hardcore UL fans. Somebody who lives in Lafayette can pay XXX dollars in Lafayette to watch us play, like you said, a ULM or a Texas State, or they can travel 60 miles down the road for cheaper, set up their RV for 3 nights, have a hookup, and be on concrete for less money.
Yeah. To watch it play Alabama
or Alabama.
Florida. Yeah.
Read the room.
Thank you. Agreed.
Read the room, dude. Who do you think you are? Like, look, I'm a Cajuns fan, die hard. But here's the thing. I know that we're playing Texas State. I know that we're playing ULM. I get it. Like, you're going to have a draw when you play Marshall. You're going to have a draw when you play App State. You're going to have a draw when you play Southern Miss. Outside of that, if you're not bargaining and getting a good P5 or I would rate like really good out of conference team that you think you can beat, first of all, you're struggling to draw 17,000 people. Of those 17,000 people, who the hell is going to pay $1,000 to tailgate? Honestly.
Look, but I love what this comment says. Like, we got to stop trying to be like somebody else and just be us and embrace who we are.
Been saying it for 10 years.
Embrace us as Cajuns. We're a blue collar place. We're not white collar. We have some white collar people. We got our money here, but embrace who we are. And that goes with the pricing. You can't outprice the common fan because when you do, you get the attendance that you do in the sports that we see it. And that's unfortunate.
Has anybody checked? Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, and by the way, if you don't think prices are going to increase across the board, including in baseball and softball, what happens when they outprice baseball and softball? Where we have already got an established fan base.
I already tried to tell them about that last year. They called me a liar. But just watch. Y'all going to see. Y'all going to think about me when they go up on the prices and they reseat all y'all, and y'all all going to be pissing and moaning. I told you. Well, but listen, the job market in Lafayette is service industry and high-end medical and some tech involved, but very small minority. Who are you selling to? Who is your demographic outside of retirees? This is a real question. Who outside of retirees is your target market? It's not service industry. It's not like very small, like the oil field service jobs that you used to sell your season tickets to. That stuff has been outsourced and moved to bigger ports and bigger areas. It doesn't exist in Lafayette like it did. Maybe 20% of what it used to be. We got a completely different landscape here. You're selling to different people. But because they all live in River Ranch, this is the truth. All these people that come in here and they rent apartments in River Ranch, they think, oh my God, it's so rich. Oh, they got money here. Well, they're idiots. They don't even know that the people in River Ranch don't go to UL games or LSU fans. You can't talk to these people, man. You got to laugh at it, though. You got to laugh at it.
We have been for a month.
Look, some of the biggest fans that I've met over the last few months don't even live in Lafayette. They live in Crawley. They live in Patterson. They live in New Iberia. They live in Abbeville. They live in Maurice. They live in Carencro. They live in Opelousas. Half of them, like, you think they have river ranches and places like that? No. I mean, so who are we targeting is the question. Are we targeting the blue collar, or are we going after, like you said, Josh River Ranch?
That's what they're going after, because they don't know anything else, Jerry. They got a blueprint. It worked in Missouri. That's all they know. They don't know anything. They don't know how to sell to this market. They don't know how to sell to these people. You got people in these offices that don't have a damn clue. And even if they had a clue, they're too lazy to execute the plan. So it doesn't matter. I'm starting to get aggravated because I haven't thought about this in a while. I'm starting to get aggravated because, we get the news today of the increased tailgating spots. But what have we always known that this area had? We knew we could tailgate in the fall. And we always knew that, and we knew that baseball and softball would be entertaining. Like, we always knew we had those things. But they're getting ready to destroy those fan bases by what they're going to do with seating and all that stuff. And, as if tailgating wasn't bad enough this past season, now they're going to make it even more difficult. They're going up on the parking. They're going up on the tailgating. They're going to basically force you to join the champion fund and buy season tickets. Like, dude, think about me. One of the biggest fans are out here. I mean, honestly, probably one of the more recognizable fans that the Cajuns have. I'm not buying any of it. I'm not giving to the Champions Fund. I'm not buying season tickets, and I'm doing all out of principle. I'm not giving to a general fund that goes to pay guys like the basketball coach's salary. Completely disagree with even being here in the first place. You'd rather watch him destroy the basketball program just to be right or be stubborn or show us that you're not going to, not let him sign the extension out of what? Because it's not out of success. We finished fifth again, couldn't get out of the second round of the tournament again. Everybody's leaving. You got the most marketable player you've had here in years, in Joe Charles, said, sorry, guys, just not for me.
But Josh, that's what happens when you cater and you try to push only the white collar donor. This is what happens, because that very small subset of people then control your decisions. And that therein lies the problem that we've been talking about and suggesting through the prices of tailgating and all that. You're pricing out the common fan that fills your stadium for the 10 or 20 people who pay your bills and now control the direction of your program.
And it becomes an echo chamber.
And you see where it's taken us, how successful that's been.
Look at the basketball situation, the echo chamber that the Rebounders Club have created. These people are so, and when I say these people, I mean like the top, say, 100 fans that give and always want to hang out with Bob and is at his house all the time. Those people have created the narrative around basketball to where the administrators who make the decisions for the program think things are great. They think things are fantastic. The common man knows basketball is in a holding pattern, has been for 15 years. That's what the common fan, the person who would fill the Cajun Dome, thinks. But they have targeted that white collar, give me your money fan for so long. They don't even know what's up and down anymore. All they know is that we have one lady who's going to have a whole lot of money, so let's let her pick the coach.
And meanwhile, you got diehards like DeBoot who's giving up, right?
You want to talk about a guy that's been through thick and thin. DeBoot's been one of their absolute best fans from whether, I don't know how much he gives, but I'm sure he gives. He goes to all the tournaments. He goes to the away games when he can. He's there every home game, if at all possible. He knows all the players. He's had jerseys. I mean, this guy is a real fan, a real follower. And even DeBoot said, sorry, I can't do this shit anymore.
It's true. It's true. I think what's scary about this is, since you brought up basketball, your season ended at the hands of a 27-point loss against a 500 Arkansas State team.
Yeah, but Jerry, listen, and they were getting hot, and they didn't have one player that they had when we played them last. So you got to give Bob a pass on that.
No. I don't care. You do not drop the game by 27 points. I'm sorry. You should never lose a game by 27 points in
I was kidding,
conference
Jerry. I
ever.
was just kidding.
You were
Ever.
coming off a damn NCAA tournament appearance, which you were telling everybody was the best thing ever, to go in and do that in the conference tournament.
And the thing is, after it happened, you know what everybody did? It was the same day we played Tulane. Oh, great, we beat Tulane in baseball. Okay, on the baseball season, everybody just kind of said, "Yeah, whatever. Time for baseball. Time for softball."
Were anybody? Were people watching?
The everybody is us. The everybody is you. It's me. It's the boot. It's the people who give money and don't have the hundreds of thousands of dollars to give. It's us that have just checked out of one sport and said, you know what? We got this consistent winner who actually has something called expectations and consistency. And we have these two sports, and we're going to say we're going to rely on those two sports because we know what we're going to get with them. And we know we have expectations. And we know if we fall short of those expectations, changes are going to be made. You're not going to see that same thing with this other program, so you're checked out.
I'll sum it up like this when it comes to that situation. So we play Northwestern State. I believe it was early March, Josh. We were at the game. It was a Wednesday. It was February. It's late February. It was a misty night. The weather wasn't that great. And it was February. At that point, it's early in the baseball season, that obviously people are excited, but it wasn't, this big crowd. We watched the game against Northwestern State. Meanwhile, across the street, Cajuns are playing Troy, second to last regular season game, right? Troy's in third place. We're trying to play a decent game, or at least try to win to up our stature of having a decent seed into the conference tournament. Not only does Troy spank us that game, they actually counted 1,000 more people at the Teague on a February Wednesday night game when it was misty and rainy than they were in the Cajun Dome watching us try to finish the season strong against a good Troy team. I mean, that was the more attractive game if you look at it on paper, but nobody cared. And when did people make the most noise? When Brad Boyd gets selected to shoot free throws at halftime. That was the only excitement there was all game long.
And then gets harassed after and has to have a police officer come and separate certain people from yelling at him.
Head of the Rebounders Club. Sorry, I had to say it. Hey, can I address James real quick? I got to say something about this. James Carrier, my man, says there's still clowns who think Joe Charles left just for NIL money.
Not true.
We know
Joe Charles was getting $0 for NIL. He was offered, I don't know, but very low. I don't know the actual number, but I know what it wasn't. Very low. Joe Charles wants to win. Joe Charles has had offers. Well, I don't want to say that part, but Joe Charles wants to win. Joe Charles does not think he has been used properly. As we came on this show every week and told you what the hell's going on with Joe Charles. The reason why he's inconsistent is because they keep moving him and they're not playing him right and the minutes are going up and down and what the hell's going on. Joe Charles wants to win. Joe Charles understands that, he can make something of himself. Maybe not an NBA player, but maybe a guy that goes to Europe and gets paid to play professionally. You never know. The guy has the tools to do a lot. He's still young. Joe Charles didn't leave for NIL money, and anybody who's talking about that is straight up. We know this for a fact. Anybody who's telling you Joe Charles left for NIL money is lying to you.
Lies, straight up. And also, too, so let's talk about that. Players going in the portal. So far, we have Butler. He's gone. Thamus Fulks is gone. Joe Charles is gone. Kobe Julian is gone. And guess what, guys? Breaking news. We may have a few others going into the portal. It's not done yet. So by the time summer rolls around, our entire starting five will be gone.
Oh, but wait, Jerry, we extended the contract because we have to keep players. We got recruiting wise, we got to keep players. So we got to extend that contract. That was what we were told. Remember?
And one other thing. Yeah, that was okay. That's a good point. And one other thing, I don't want to hear the excuses of the nonsense of the everybody else is doing it foolishness. Oh, well, everybody else is losing players. So, it's okay for us to lose players. Look at the circumstances. Okay. The first excuse I heard from some of these people was JMU. JMU lost 5 of their starters. App State lost so-and-so or 4 or 5 of their guys. What did JMU and App State have in common, guys?
Lost their coaches?
No.
Because
okay, you're
JMU
close.
did. I don't know about App State.
You're close. What else?
JMU made it to the tournament as a 12 seed, had 30 wins, and beat Wisconsin in the dance, something Bob's never done. And App State won the league, and I don't know what they did. I don't know what they did in the NIT, but they got selected to play in the NIT. Yes,
correct. So JMU went to the dance. They won the conference tournament. They beat Wisconsin as a 12 seed in the tournament. They won a game in the dance, and they lost their head coach to an SEC school. So naturally, you're going to lose players when that happens because of the success. It's very similar to what happened with us when we lost Billy to Florida in football. Okay. App State won the regular season. They had probably their best season in over 2 decades, and they went to the NIT. We finished in 5th place, extended our coach, and players still left with the reason of you, like you said, Nick, when you extend a coach, you would think players are going to stay. We lost players based on completely opposite circumstances to what JMU and App State went through. So when I hear people say, well, everybody else is doing it. Oh, everybody else is losing players. No, the circumstances are totally in left field for us as opposed to everybody else. So once again, it's another goalpost move. It's another excuse. It's another reason of why it's okay that we're in the circumstances that we're in. And it's just not true. It's a lie.
Jerry, the Sun Belt is trash in basketball outside of maybe 1 or 2 teams every year. Like App State was pretty good this year. JMU was obviously good. Outside of that, we're a trash league. There is no reason why we should not be in an NCAA tournament, why the expectation should not be that we're there. But we get, oh, well, he graduates players. No, he doesn't. Well, he's got to stay here because he's retaining players. No, he's not. So what's your next excuse? Well, he made the tournament twice in 15 years. I like Bob. I think Bob's a nice guy. I have nothing personally against the guy. But again, we need to start, we've said this, we need to start holding all of our programs to the same standard. And I guarantee you, even Robe, who seemed untouchable, if he goes 15 years and only makes 2 regional appearances, people are going to be barking. And I know Deggs would be the same way. And I know in softball, holy cow, if we only made 2 tournament appearances in 5 years, they'd be calling for somebody's head. So
people were calling for Jerry's head a month ago when we were 9 and 12.
But again, Jerry, this is the problem when you get a certain subset of people who have money to be able to lead your program, because now you've lost control. As an athletic department, you have lost control because you've gotten this subset of people. Well, they've got money, so we got to let them do what they wanted. What do they want to do? Okay, we'll do this. That's another what happens.
That's another thing. NIL. I love the excuses in basketball. How, well, McNeese only wins because they got money in NIL. Where's our money? McNeese is
like Charles, dude. Like, you want to talk about blue collar? They're the blue collar of blue collar.
All the refineries, yeah.
True.
It's true.
Hey, but
yet somehow they make it work.
And the one guy who was rich, Billy Navarre, ain't living anymore. So who are they getting it from?
Nick, their athletic budget is literally a quarter of what we have in athletics for our budget. Their enrollment, they only have like 6,000 students. They're a third of our size. Meanwhile, they're blowing us out the water in NIL, and we've got people here saying, well, it's okay because McNeese has more money than NIL. That's an indictment on us.
By the way, I'm pissed at you for making me almost say McNeese, because it's not McNeese, okay? It's McNeese. You made me say it, and I was like,
I don't
damn
care.
It, Jerry.
I could care less. Okay.
And it's McNeese State because they call us some other name. So
whatever.
This is what happens when you're unwilling to pay the NIL guy. Number one. And by the way, the amount was just so embarrassing. But anyway, this is what happens. But can I defend Bob real quick? I got to defend Bob. When you have ignoramuses willing to give you money, I mean, what's he going to do? Say no? I got to defend Bob. Bob's not the problem. He's a problem, but he's not the problem. The problem goes up the ladder, and it's not Bob. Bob is a huge problem. And to Nick's point, look, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't like him. I don't like a million things about the guy, especially now that I know what I know. My God, who could like this guy? Anyway, I don't like him. I want him out of here. He is so monotone, and he is so boring, and my God, he smells like when I see him on the screen, I start smelling Werther's Original. That's what I think of. He is great for the older fans, and I get why they love him, but we need an injection of youth in this program, and Bob Marlin ain't it, and he ain't gonna be it ever. But no, we're gonna have to sit through another 4 years of this crap. We're gonna finish 5th, 8th, 1st, and 3rd. I mean, it's just going to be up and down, and whoever knows. But We need energy. We need life in the program. It is lifeless. We had a game where we literally had 250 butts in seats this year. I can't believe. I mean, I've seen high school games that have more people, and like women's high school games that have more people at the game than that. But again, Bob is not the problem. Bob and his orbit it's a huge problem, but it is not the problem. It's just a problem. Vacations building on Reinhardt, which is great because I used to always love to get on a rant. You get the rant and you'd say, Reinhardt drives don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm glad we can say that again because they had to move for a while. But the real problem resides in that building and defending Bob. Look, if these morons are going to give me money, I'm going to take it.
Well, at the same time, don't complain that you don't have NIL money. It's your job to go fundraise it. It's your job to go in the community and go get the money. I mean, the reality is we don't have people that are willing to go knock on doors, kiss babies, and shake hands like I've been saying for the last 2 or 3 years. And instead, when they don't put the work in to get the money and then they look in their piggy bank and it's empty, it's almost like kind of nervy of them to go, well, gee, how come I don't have money? Why does Magnice have money? You know why? Because they actually go knock on doors. They go interact with their community. They go say, hi, I'm so-and-so, please give us money. We want to win. We have a vision. We have goals in mind. And we don't do that. We just sit around.
They had the bravery, the foresight to hire a coach that would inject energy into the fan base. What a crazy novel idea is that, huh?
I know and not only that, in the first year, they go 30-3. They have wins against both VCU and Michigan. They beat us and they go to the dance. And then there's some fans, don't get me wrong. Like, I know Gonzaga beat them pretty handily, but at least they made it. Where we didn't make it. We lost by 27 to a 500 Arkansas State team in the quarterfinals. So
Cajun fan can't say anything about basketball. Not a single thing.
It is really, really disturbing. And look, I'm just as frustrating because, like you said, in the time we were away, we've talked to people close to the program. We've heard what's going on, and it's not good. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's not good.
It's terrible. I
don't know how it's going to get any better. I mean, look, you might lose your starting five. What are we going to do next year? Who are we going to go get? I mean, you got two guys that literally wanted to be here, did not care about money, did not care about getting all these accolades as far as financials and whatever. They wanted to be here because they love UL. They're gone. They left. They said enough of this. I'm out.
It's our fault, Jerry.
Yeah.
We're too negative.
Obviously, Rage and Review ran them away. That's exactly why.
Well, that's what they say. That's what they say, right? The reason why fans aren't showing up. We got a friend of ours that was at one of the those presentations or whatever, saying that it was the fans' negativity on social media, which is causing people to stay away from the games. That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
The 0.47% of Cajun fans that reside on Twitter. That's why.
The power we have, yo. Holy cow.
Imagine believing that enough to say it out loud.
They say it. That's Twilight Zone material, guys. That's
the power, man. I never knew we had that kind of power, but holy cow.
I mean, it is crazy. And another thing is we're giving you feedback. If you want to take it as negative,
they don't want the feedback, Jerry, because they think they're right. They think they're right. And we're just, look, I'm telling you, after this whole coaching debacle, I don't care what people think of me anymore in the administration. I really don't. Like, those days of me just trying to be civil and happy and whatever, like, I don't care anymore, because the truth of the matter is they want us when we're doing what they want us to do, and when we don't, then they're going to shun us, and we're never going to get access. We're never going to get anything from them. They're never going to be a partner as they said they would and lied to us about. So, you know what? As I said, we'll be partners with other programs, and we'll interview their coaches, and they'll look stupid. And other programs will get the publicity, and they won't. And so they're going to cut off the nose to spite their face, and so be it. Okay.
Rory Strentz is one of the biggest softball fans I know. The guy is a genius when it comes to UL softball. He knows his stuff. He is knowledgeable. He's on top of his game. He knows. I mean, I literally got my softball preseason information from Rory. The dude knows what he's talking about, right? He's at every game. If you watch the game at Lamson on TV, he's always sitting behind home plate. He travels with the team. He travels to the road games. He's there every game. This guy did his own podcast for softball, as we know. Tried interviewing Coach Glasgow, and they told him no because he doesn't have a pull. He doesn't have enough pull, doesn't have enough notoriety, so they don't let him interview Coach Glasgow, who he's friends with, personal friends with Jerry, right? So instead, he does what Nick does, or Nick wanted to do, calls up the Florida State head coach for an interview. You know, the coach who won 2 national titles. Within 20 minutes, the head coach of Florida State says, yes, I'll be more than happy to do an interview with you. Did like a 10, 15-minute interview with him. So you could go to Florida State, who has won multiple national titles, get that head coach to do an interview with you, but we can't get our head coach, who we're personal friends with. I mean, Nick, your brother is a coach for the baseball
We can't get him
team.
on here. No, he can't come. I can't talk to my brother on the
That's
podcast.
crazy, man. That's Twilight Zone stuff. Twilight Zone stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. Like I said, I don't care anymore. I used to care, and I think there was this
done.
like thing in my head where I was like, you know, maybe one day I want to go back and announce. I think I burned that bridge at this point. But in the end, Jerry and Josh and I said this. In the end, we're still going to be here 10, 15 years from now, and this administration won't. And whatever they do right now won't matter in 10 or 15 years. I mean, it will when you look at things like facilities and stuff like that, it will. But in the end, we're still going to be here and they won't. So I feel like sometimes we just need to ride this stuff out because it'll work itself out. But man, like, these are very educated, smart people.
Are they though? Are they?
You would
Educated
think,
and
Josh?
smart. Educated and smart are
Okay,
not
good
the
point.
same thing.
That is a wonderful point.
and that's
These are
and also,
educated
too,
people that you would expect would
Thank you for the
understand the
clarification.
value,
Yes.
the value that we bring as the only like true all sports podcast for Raging Cajuns athletics. And we give more than 2 minutes a night on news coverage and then followed up with TSAB. Like that just again boggles my mind, but whatever, man.
One other thing.
Greg,
And one other
wait, Greg
ahead,
Vincent. Here we go. It's a beautiful night for baseball here at the Teague. Okay, I did it. Okay, you
Heyo.
can continue.
And one other thing, and we'll talk about happier things after this, but quit saying that this is like a business, because if you're not running it like a business and have a good business model, you don't get to use the term business to make it convenient to sound like you're running it like a business when in reality you're not.
It's a business, all right. It's a Ponzi scheme, is what it is.
I get so tired of hearing that from people. I've heard it from tons of people that are like, well, we're trying to run it like a business. Well, I don't know what your model is because it ain't working, man.
It's the
What
MLM
business?
model.
Toys R Us, like Sears. But anyway, look, we're gonna talk about what I know they came out with. What do they call it? Not the projection, but the words escaping me. Where they came out with the master plan for the next few years.
Yeah,
We're
the
gonna-
Let's Go 2.0 plan, which never
in
happened.
the next plan. And look, I gotta say thank you for coming out with something. All right, we got something. I'm not saying it's great, but we got something.
But
we're
what is
gonna-
it? It's
but-
words and pictures. That's all
Well,
it
that's
is.
just it, Josh.
No plan.
We're gonna break down what they promised in the last one and this one. See what progress we've made. Because you know what? A plan without action is what, Josh? What did
A
you?
wish.
A wish. Exactly.
A plan,
we're
a
gonna-
goal without a plan is a wish.
So we're going to see. We're going to go back and see what they did in the first one and what they didn't accomplish. And we're going to look at what they're wishing for this time. But again, it's like the one and only Raging Cajuns. Wonderful marketing. Never heard of it again. Our town, our school, our whatever, our team.
Our town, our team.
Heard it 1-2 times. Never heard it again. So is that like we're starting to see a little bit of consistency here where they try something out a couple times and it's gone and they're moving on to the next thing. That strategic plan, is that going to be another thing where they put it out there and then you never hear from it again?
But to me,
We'll
like,
see.
all right, so you're hiring these marketing people to put together a strategic plan, but you're not actually outselling the product. It's like writing okay, I know I got to write a book report. I read the first 4 chapters and then I piecemeal it together and turn it in and get a C+. That's what they do. Because you can't say they're not doing anything, because they're doing something. They put out a strategic plan. But all the strategic plan is a PowerPoint presentation. It's Scott Farmer's PowerPoint presentation to get into CUSA. There was no action behind the plan. It was just something to post on social media or an email to send out. And they think that it's like they expect the fans to backfill what they're supposed to do. It's like, okay, look, we have this plan. Now you guys figure out how to get it done. You execute it. That's what it feels like to me, because there's zero plan in the strategic plan. It's the Let's Go 2.0. It's all it is. I mean, did you guys see? The
Look
plan
at
in
all
there,
this
or-
work we did, guys.
Well,
That's
Yeah,
exactly what it
exactly.
is.
It's like you invoice for all this stuff, and they come back and say, "Yeah, but the truck you were supposed to build isn't built. What'd you do?" Well, look at all the planning we did. We did a ton of work.
Here's
Look
the
at this
big comment.
spreadsheet.
But here's the common denominator of what you guys are saying. Where in all of that we read, where was the how? How are you going to do all of this?
No.
How are you going to implement this? Tell us what are the steps? Because it's one thing to say I want something, I want this, but what are and how? It's one thing to say how are you going to do it, but what are the steps that you're going to take to get to that end goal?
And also,
I don't
where
know
was
what
the
the
fan
steps are.
engagement segment of that? Where was the
Well-
fan engagement?
Well, stakeholders.
Yeah, but you're not entitled to know. So how are you a stakeholder? Why do you think you know things? You can't know things. But no, seriously, like where was the fan? Our biggest problem as an athletic department to the community is the fan engagement. What segment of the strategic plan dealt with fan engagement? And also, where was the how to fix the problem? Didn't exist.
It's one thing if you're a teacher to teach somebody how to fix a flat tire. But if you actually don't know how to pick up a wrench and actually fix the flat tire, does it really matter at that point?
Hey, look, why don't we release a strategic plan? That's what we should have done. Raise and review strategic plan. Raise $15 million by the end of the year so we can buy some new equipment and sponsor the new stadium. That's our strategic plan. I'll let you guys figure out how to get to 15 million, but I just want to let everybody know that that's our plan. That's our goal.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Nick, seriously, we should start working on that tomorrow. The Rage and Review strategic plan.
Done. Hey, I'm all in. I'm all in on that.
I got nothing.
We could get Sam Bankman Fried to be our accountant.
Get our Twitter account to 20,000
Or his
followers. by
ugly ass
December.
girlfriend. She could be our COO.
Get our 20,000 followers by December.
Well, we probably hit that before their strategic plan does. I mean, we've got some foreign followers all of a sudden out of nowhere. We're about to hit that 20,000 mark.
We got some Japanese. We got some dirty, dark Japanese money coming in, I guess.
Speaking of followers, by the way, we're at 399 viewers right now. Can we hit 400? I mean, that would be definitely a first. That's insane.
Only 400?
We're about to
Call a
hit
friend.
400 viewers right now. So.
Oh, there it is. There it
Oh,
is.
there it is.
There we
Man,
go.
Martin Hall is really tuned in tonight.
Here's to you guys. But no, seriously, I mean, there's absolutely no way to get to any of these things. They're just really nice numbers. Get RCAF to 5,000 followers in what, 30 years? It's been open 15 years and we can't break 2. I mean, it's a great goal, Jerry. I would love to have 5,000 RCAF people.
Absolutely.
What's the plan? What's the plan? $20 million? Okay, awesome. I'm in full agreement. Let's get to it. How are we going to do it? What is the plan?
Come talk to us. Ask us. We'll help.
No,
Hey,
because
everybody
they don't-
on the lookout for that Raise and Review strategic plan.
They don't want you say ask us, but they don't want the truth. They want the fuzzy, happy feeling. Oh, you guys are doing a great job. That's what they want. That's what you guys are doing. Awesome. You're fantastic.
Nick,
Good
let me ask you a
job.
question. Do you think that inside of Martin Hall, they use or in the athletic department, excuse me, do you think they use the manager sandwich? Do you think that's still something that's employed? Because
Can we
even
call
in
it
the
shit
manager
That's what
sandwich,
it is.
well, even in the manager sandwich, you get some negativity in there, correct?
Yeah, but you fluff it up right at the top and the bottom. The bun.
Look,
that's a fluff.
guys, you're doing a fantastic job. You could probably work on your attitude. But again, you've shown a lot of growth. That's a manager sandwich, right?
You're great. Your results are absolutely terrible. But hey, I like you. You're a good person.
So why can't we just that is the Rage and Review strategy going forward. Let's say something super nice, say the truth, and then say something super nice after the truth.
No, I can't do it.
Maybe they'll let us talk
I've
to people.
trained myself out of that as a manager in what I do. I've trained myself out of that. I can't go back.
I just don't like to lie. I'm sorry. Like that's can't lie.
Just negative, Jerry.
You're inflammatory.
What were the other words? Negative, inflammatory.
My favorite thing that came out of all of that was the made up fan centric podcast word. That's
What does that
that's
even
what
mean?
that's what they're spending their time brainstorming. Not
What
how to
does
get
that
people
mean?
in the stadium. How do we tell Rage and Review they can't talk to our coaches? Fan centric podcast. Write it. Okay. That's what they're really spending their time doing.
They're watching right now. We're pissing them off. So bad.
Fantastic.
Like I said, I don't care anymore. We know we're never going to have a true partnership because they've made that abundantly clear. So what's the point? What's the point of playing nice?
I think I've been pretty nice, and even
you have been actually.
Yeah. We just at this point, look, they're going to move the goalposts no matter what. So, and again, here's the reality: we're still here. We're not going anywhere. Too bad,
Jerry. I know I'm changing the subject, but this is Fireside Chat, so everything goes. You want to talk about reality? Reality is we got the best damn baseball team in the state right now, son.
Yes, let's talk about Diamond Sports, please.
Let's talk about the best damn. And by the way, you little TSAT fans that are watching that are hopefully that say something about you. Guess what? I am, because y'all suck. Y'all just got beat by Southern. Y'all are 2-6 in conference. We are the best team in the state. I don't care who you play, because let me tell you, we would not be 2-7 or whatever in your little SEC conference. It just would. The way we're playing baseball right now, we've had four run ruled games so far this season. I can't tell you the last time we've had 4 run ruled games. We're not gonna have your whatever. Y'all are living in your little look. You're national champions. Congratulations. Trust me. You okay? By the way, I'm gonna switch topics one more time before you go. You know why people hate Angel Reese? Because wait, Nick.
Let me say this real quick because I want to shout out Bryce. Rage and Review. You know all that money that we siphon off of everybody or whatever. We helped the basketball managers, and thanks, Bryce, for bringing this up, go to the Final Four last year because they were one of the best basketball teams in the country. I don't remember exactly how the tournament fell out, but they got to go to the Final Four with help from the Rage and Review podcast. So, Bryce, thanks for being here tonight. And the reason why we exist is to do things like that. So I just wanted to say that. Nick, please tell us why everybody hates Angel Reese.
Okay. Fireside Chat, I'm going from baseball to basketball, but I'm just going to say all this outrage about poor Angel Reese, poor thing. You know why the nation hates Angel Reese? It's not about the color of her skin. It's not because she's a woman. It's because she epitomizes the typical LSU fan. They're in your face. They flex their little ring. Oh, you ain't got a ring. Oh, we were natties. Oh, this thing. Oh, I was just showing Louisiana. No, that's an L. This thing. No, it's because you're cocky. It's because you're not humble. It's because you're in your face. And then when you lose, you play victim. She is the epitome of a TSAB fan and that entire program. When they don't get what they want, they're a victim. Poor me. And when somebody calls them out on it, and when somebody calls them out on it, then you're the bad person. So I said my piece. Go ahead, Jerry. Sorry. I went on my little rant there. I had to get it out. I've been holding it, man.
Oh, we'll get into that in a few minutes because, man, that entire fan base has been playing defense for the last 3 days, and it's been hilarious watching the entire country just pile on them to the point where
keep on my rant
to the point where apparently our governor is the new Huey Long for UL. According to these fans on Tiger Droppings, the reason why he's upset about them being in the locker room for the anthem is not because of all of that stuff, regardless of which side you take, it's because he's a UL grad.
Is that what they're saying? Is that what they're saying?
Oh, yeah. You didn't see the tweet?
That's so great. Now, look, the tweet was dumb as hell. The tweet was dumb as hell. But if they think it's because he's a UL guy, that's fantastic.
Well, no. That's the tweet we sent out. Razor Review sent the tweet out earlier that I sent it to you, Josh, because I know you were busy earlier. But
yeah, sorry, Jerry. I don't read a lot of stuff that you sent. No, I'm just kidding. I really haven't had time to read my phone.
There's people on Tiger Droppings and on the message boards that truly believe that he did all that stuff about the national anthem to sabotage them because he is a UL graduate.
I hope that's why. That would be great.
So maybe he's our Huey Long. I don't know. It's just
look,
but you know it's funny. I love it,
but yes, that's great if they think that.
It's the irony because you got a guy like Mike Scarborough that basically trashes our fan base last year by saying, I quote, that it's all a conspiracy, how we blame LSU for everything, and we want to dig up Huey Long's body and put him on trial, when that's exactly what they're doing to the current governor right now.
Chris, and we're the Applebee's. Come on, man. Like the taxpayers, Jerry.
What about the taxpayers?
The taxpayers are going to fund his PMAC, his new PMAC with state funding and with taxpayer funding, and they can't
with no vote
against it.
With no vote. They're not going to put a vote up either, remember?
The poor taxpayers with the $8 million deficit, and they're about to spend $500 million of taxpayer dollars.
With no vote.
He ain't talking about that, bro. That's different.
There isn't much good about social media, but I tell you this.
God.
TSAB fans exposing their stupidity
It's fantastic.
it's got to be on the top 5 of the totem pole. Great things about Twitter. Has to be.
I'm just gonna say, quit mooching off the state is all I'm saying.
That was one of the best quotes ever. Whoever,
Literally.
somebody on Twitter keeps like reposting that every time he said, like, we do, and it's just fantastic, man. But Mike's been silent. Where's Mike? Why have we heard?
And you know what? And I've noticed, like, we posted that ironic tweet about the taxpayer, and I've noticed none of their fans have responded to it because it is true, right? Look, let's be honest. You know, they brag about being self-sufficient in athletics, and that's great. Good for you. But at the same time, nobody likes paying taxes. I'm sure some of their fans aren't happy with the fact that, you know, their library and their buildings are having floods and collapsing. Meanwhile, they're going to pay all this money for the PMAC when you have $160 to $200 million budget. I'm sure some of their look, if our budget was like that, I'd be disappointed that we have to pay a tax on our facilities.
Jerry,
because that's what the Athletic Foundation is for, is to pay all that.
But a perfect example of the shenanigans that they pulled is once they became self-sufficient, guess what they passed in the legislature? A bill that says, no state school can use student fees for athletics. So us and ULM and well, not Tulane because they're not a state school, but we can zero money can go. Yeah, Tech can go from student fees towards athletics. Meanwhile, James Madison, who's kicking ass at everything, like
over
80% of their budget, right? Most of their budget comes from student fees.
Correct.
So you're going to come to me and say, well, I don't know why y'all are moaning and complaining. Meanwhile, because you're self-sufficient, you got the legislature to pass a bill to hold you down. This is why Louisiana is a banana republic, because you think that because you want to be great, you have to hold everybody else down. And we can't get out of the mentality, and that's where we're 50th and everything.
Well, and we don't use state funds. No. For people that don't know, we don't use state funds here. So this whole deficit bullshit is bullshit. It's a paper deficit. It's not legit. It's not real. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that.
Look, by law, you have to pay it back. I mean, by law, you can't run a deficit. It's against the state. That's the thing that these people, they have this voice, but they don't do their research. By law, you cannot run deficits. You have to find a way to pay it back.
Goes back to the smart and educated thing. Not the same.
That's what the foundation is there for. The foundation reimburses. And that's some of these people, they say these things, but you got so many followers that think that they're preaching gospel that they believe them.
Well, I mean, they're also not very intelligent.
80% of their fan base never went to high school.
We were just arguing with a guy on social media that said that he was too smart for college because he works in Opelousas and he sells insurance. So, I mean, that's a perfect example of the people we're dealing with. But anyway, I don't want to get caught up on TSAB stuff. Let's talk about the fact that we are the best baseball team in the freaking state.
All right, let
me set the table, Jerry.
All right, what you got?
Watching TSAB lose to Southern. No, let me rephrase. Watching TSAB be dominated by Southern was about the most satisfying experience I could have had when not watching my own team. That was just so fun, wasn't it? I mean, LSU, you have never seen the Tiger fan base be so quiet. They haven't said anything in days. It's great.
It kills me to know. I want another try at them because our team was so different in early March and their team was so different in early March. And we didn't even play our best game and they beat us 5-4. I would love to have another try at them right now. It kills me to know we can't do that. I would love to have another try at them.
I don't care. I mean, I don't care. Look, it's fun to beat them, and we lost by a run. By the way, Josh, you triggered Chris Blair so hard
that
not only so then he tweets something out that he meant to respond to you on, and it was like, oh, you're flexing a 1-run win over us. So the burners went into full effect. He deleted the tweet. So we triggered
all of the burners. Cajun Twitter. There's now a Cajun Twitter, which is awesome. But they ratioed this guy into deleting his tweet. Probably his employer said, delete that. You look like a moron.
I'm just saying, Jay Walker would never.
Jay wouldn't. But let me say this. Okay, this goes back to his foolishness when we played a couple of years ago. He was talking down to us.
It was last year.
And then he went on Jordy Collada's show and started talking down to us when he literally came from Georgia Southern, by the way. So nobody should forget that. But Imagine being so insecure, tiny dick syndrome, all the things you want to say, to respond to a UL fan base that you're not playing A, and B, you're still doing the post game for on another game that you lost to an in-state rival SWAC school. Like, how bad that guy was so down bad. He didn't know what to do with himself.
I forgot he was doing the post
He
game.
was still in the post game when he responded to my tweet.
And what makes it funny is for people who don't know the actual story, all they saw was this guy just posting up the UL score randomly, like out of nowhere.
Which makes
like,
it 10 times better, because why are you talking about UL? You just lost
it was a month ago.
Funny, dude.
You know. Meanwhile, okay, so let's talk about it. Diamond Sports. So since we've been gone, and I'm going to combine softball and baseball real quick with this fun fact. Since we've been gone, you've got softball ending the 71-game win streak. Well done, ladies. They started the season 9-12. They now sit at 24-13. They're 15-1 in their last 16 games and ranked back in the top 25, 9-0 in conference, with a huge home series coming up against JMU this weekend.
And the only school to beat OU.
Yeah,
in 2 years.
The last, very, very job well done. What a way to respond to adversity, ladies. And they are dominating right now. It's a lot of fun to watch. They dropped the game against Tech. I know it's not, I hate losing to Tech, but I think it was Tech's first win against us since like the 90s. So every blind squirrel finds an acorn. It happens. We'll get them back eventually. But also to baseball, Cajuns started the season 6-7, just like softball. Last 16 games, they're 15-1, 12-game win streak. They now sit at 21-8 RPI. They're at 47, according to Warren Nolan's RPI ranking. And D1 Baseball, our good friend of the pod, Kendall Rogers, has the Cajuns at around 26 or 27. So guess what, guys? Since 2018, we have a chance to be or crack the top 25 if we take care of business this weekend. So Cajuns back in the top 25. We're literally knocking on the door. Don't want to count the chickens before they hatch, but at the same time, they're playing great baseball right now. And so both Diamond Sports, since that big Oklahoma upset, combine their records, they're 30-2 for baseball and softball, 30-2 in the last 32 games. So, that's why we love Diamond Sports. They just, they're going to compete on a national stage. And not only do they compete on a national stage, they're fun to watch. They play fast, they play loose, as Coach Deggs likes to say. And they really have a certain standard about them that you have to watch until the final out, because they'll never quit. So to the ladies this weekend, best of luck. To the guys, looking forward to being at the Teague, best of luck. But let's talk about that. I had to give the shout out to softball first, because to end that Oklahoma win streak, I mean, that made national news. That was huge. I have to say that was probably one of the larger wins in softball outside of the national titles over the last couple of years, to be able to do that, to go on the road. You had just lost to the Liberty like 7-1 or 8-1, and then you respond with that at their house in an intense environment. I mean, that's unbelievable. So,
I was going to say, Jerry, living in Houston for the last 5 years, I don't know that I've ever had anyone random at work in my neighborhood, whatever, come up to me and be like, man, they beat Oklahoma. Way to go. And I'm like, you watch softball? So there were several people who knew. I mean, obviously they know I'm a Cajun fan because I wear Cajun stuff all the time here, but it was meaningful in that, but also you had to wonder, okay, what are you going to do with it? It's great to be Oklahoma, but where are you going to take that? And it was very encouraging to see, the South Alabama series, App State, where they're going with things. It's very encouraging. Now, look, there are projections right now that obviously UL makes it into a regional, but Texas State, they're predicted to host a regional, projected right now. So that series could very well come down to who in the Sun Belt hosts a regional. Now, am I worried a little bit about their record against the top, the Q1? Yeah, I am very worried because of the way that things kind of played out in the beginning of the season. But the Oklahoma win, if you're a committee member, that stands out. That's in your head. That's meaningful. So I'm hoping that translates to us not being sent to TSAB this year. I'd love for them. Look, if they win every single conference series going forward, And especially if they sweep most of them and then sweep their way through the tournament, I think they have a chance to host. But even if they're not in the world of hosting, I think that Oklahoma win puts them in a good position in a regional. So that was very good to see. Baseball, man. Jerry, you and I were talking earlier today, and you were saying something, and I said, "Don't say it, Jerry. Don't say it." I'm not going to compare this team to 2014. We're not nearly there.
No, not even close.
But what I will say is that the way that we're winning ball games reminds me a lot of that team. Gritty. People are like, we got guys that are like, you got guys like JT at the top of the lineup willing to lay down a bunt. You guys got guys who are willing to give themselves up to score a run. That to me is very reminiscent of that era, that time that we were so successful. So again, I'm not saying we're 2014. God, that was probably one of the most special. I don't know if we ever recreate that, but it's reminiscent of the grit and the belief and the feeling that I have when we go into the 8th inning down 2 runs that we're going to pull it out. Yeah. And it's been a while since I felt that way. I don't know about you guys if you feel that same way, but I feel that way.
Real quickly, and I just want to jump to softball real quick, and I'll jump back to baseball. I got to give a shout out because dating back to 2013, the Cajuns now sit at 84 consecutive series wins in conference. Job well done. Let's keep it going this weekend. Anyway.
That's insane.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a different take on that Oklahoma game. I think that, first of all, you got to be specific about the win. If you guys remember, they had the lead going into the bottom of the top of the 7th. Bottom of the 7th, and they gave up the lead. And they gave it up in a way that they probably shouldn't have. They had a foul ball, I think, that was dropped, led to a run that tied the game. The most impressive thing about the win is, number one, it was on the road, but they came back from that. No, most teams, let alone smaller schools like we are now, we fancy ourselves a P5 type team, but a lot of teams don't respond and win the game that way. So you got to give them immense amount of credit for being able to still win that game after they somewhat blew it to tie the game with Oklahoma. But as far as what it meant going forward, I got to say, I think that early in the season, we kind of did ourselves in with the way we played and the games that we lost. And yeah, the Q1 losses are bad, but we have some pretty bad losses mixed in there too. I don't think we're going to host. I don't think we're going to be in the mix. But I think what was important about it was the confidence to beat a team like Oklahoma on the road. I think that as a group, you can take that. You can preach that in the locker room with your kids as coaches. I think that you can take that as a reset button for the rest of the season. And again, like Nick said, to their credit, they've been on a tear since then. I went to watch them play Coastal Carolina a couple of weekends ago, and they're just a far superior team on the field than Coastal Carolina, which, middling Sun Belt Conference team. But I think the Oklahoma win, what it meant was more internal than what it's going to mean at the end of the season when you put the rankings down on paper and say who's going to host and who's not. That's what I think it was important for. And at the end of the day, even if you don't host, the belief that you can beat a team like Oklahoma, that stays with you. You can go into a regional, super regional, and even the College World Series, Women's College World Series, and think that you can win. And I think that's more important than anything. So I want to say that. Baseball-wise, I don't say 2014. I don't like saying that. That's a shooting star. It never happens. But I will say this. The last time we swept back-to-back conference opponents was 2014. The last time we started 8-1 in conference was 2014 and also 2000. So those are the two teams in our lifetimes that really meant a lot to us and kind of helped cement our fandom and how much we love and care and are passionate about the program. So in that regard, 2014 stands out. But as far as from the way how they play, I think they're very different. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll be honest with the listeners as well. After we lost to Arkansas State, I thought, and I sent a message to the boys, and I said, I've seen enough. We're just not that good. We're average, basically, is what I thought. And I have a very, very good talent for jinxing things. And as soon as I say something negative, a bunch of positive stuff happens. So I'm going to lie and say I meant to do that. But I think a lot of folks would agree with me that to that point, You hadn't seen anything to give you a whole lot of confidence in winning 12 in a row, sweeping ODU at home, going to Texas State in that Crackerjack ballpark and sweeping them. Not only sweeping them, holding them to 1, 5, and 6. I mean, and the 5, really, you're basically just filling up the zone and trying to get strikes because you're absolutely dominating them in their own park on Saturday. So I don't think anybody saw that coming. You look at last night where they played Nichols and they had an easy moment right there, especially with a younger team. You see that moment and you go, that could be a letdown moment. They come out and dominate a Nichols team when Jack Martinez did not have his best stuff, when David Christie did not have his best stuff. I mean, they made it look easy. And Nichols is probably going to win the Southland. It's a decent lead.
They're a damn good hitting team, by the way.
And which was wild because you've seen Seth Thibodeau, he built them to be a defensive and pitching team. They come out, they got a guy at first base like 6'6", 250. Every time he swings the bat, you can feel the wind blow from behind him. You know what I mean? It was crazy. But they dominated that Nichols team. And you have this sense about Cajuns baseball that the momentum is starting to build. And they built it from the ground up. They didn't take shortcuts. You got guys like JT that struggled early. You got guys like Debo, who was, of course, a high-round draft select. He's going to be a high-round draft selection. But he comes out of the gates, and he just can't get any traction, and he's searching. All of a sudden, he just starts hitting the ball all over the place. You got guys like Lee Amade, who we thought was going to be a cornerstone. I mean, he can't hit for the first 2 months of the season, to the point where we were asking ourselves, is Deggs just in love with this guy, or what the hell's going on? And then now everything Lee Amade swings at, he barrels up. And no, he didn't hit the ball every time he comes to the plate, but damn, it feels like it. You got Duncan Pastore, who kind of scratched a little bit, had a couple of nice moments in Houston, but all of a sudden, like last night, he goes 4 for 4. And every time you look at the sheet, the box score, Duncan Pastore has 2 or 3 hits. And by the way, has made the transition to first base pretty seamlessly. All of the pieces are starting to work out. You got Mandino back healthy. Connor Higgs was just in a brutal slump. And all of a sudden, he's starting to come to life. I think that they're figuring it out in the outfield, where early on, they were trying to find who was going to be their best outfielder. Torres has been a revelation at catcher. He's not a Julian. He's not going to do what Julian can do, but I can tell you this. He's about as athletic as any catcher we've ever had. He's a hell of a lot of fun to watch. He's a little firecracker. He's going to hold you accountable on the base pads. And, oh, by the way, he's one of the most clutch hitters we have. I know he's probably hitting like 280 right now, but he's clutch. The hits come when you need them. Matt was talking to Jay about how last year we struggled to get runners in from third base with less than 2 out. This year we're almost at 75%, which is a freaking insane number. It happened again last night. There's not a whole lot that we're doing wrong. Now, I want to see a little bit more consistency defensively. And we've got to find some safety valves, as Deggs mentioned, in the back of the bullpen, because I think we still need a couple more arms to be really dangerous. But man, who's going to beat LP and Herman on Friday? Who's beating that? They've been nothing but dominant on Friday. I mean, it's not close. They look ridiculous. I mean, I think LP has something like 24 strikeouts in his last 18 innings. It's insane. His ERA is below 1. In those last 3 or 4 appearances. You got David Christie, and I guess they're going to go with Chase Morgan, either Chase Morgan on Saturday mornings or Fluno. I don't know who's going to fill the role, but they're starting to flip-flop. I think the overarching point here is that we've got 8, 9 reliable arms that you think you're going to see on the weekend, and you feel good about them getting outs when you need them. And as soon as they stop the freebies, like, people can't hit off of them. It's insane to watch the not only the maturity, but the growth, the production. Teams, they start to get better and they start to get momentum, but the production is kind of it's a slow build, slow burn. This has been like overnight, boom, in your face. As soon as they got out of Houston, they go, oh yeah, by the way, we're good. Let's play like it. And they haven't looked back. And there's a million other things I could say about each individual on the team that we've seen get a lot of playing time. You got a bat like Luke Uhas that's struggling to get in the lineup. I mean, we've got options. We got 12 guys that can get up there and hit the baseball. I'm not going to say things crazy like 2014, but I will say, I've commented, and I commented it to you guys, and I'll be transparent. Where's the grit? I'm not seeing it. I need to see some grit out of here. The grit has shown itself. This is a team that's not only is it fun to watch them win, it's fun to watch them play. You couldn't have said that 2 months ago.
I think the turning point to me in this season, and Josh, you were close to it, right? When with the last loss against Arkansas State, we basically we give them free bases in the 7th. We tie it at 6, get momentum, give them momentum back, and then they basically run away with it with a grand slam to beat us, right? The following day, that Saturday, they're up 6-2 until the 8th inning. They're up 6-2. And of course, we're all freaking out because we're about to lose the series to Arkansas State. And what happened in the 8th inning? I think Arkansas State brings a new pitcher in, and Deggs changes the approach like that to the hitters and says, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're not going to swing. You're not going to swing. Just don't chase right now. Try to get the pitch count up and do what you can to get on base. And lo and behold, in the 8th inning, that's what they did. They had a few walks, a few timely hits. Before you know it, the game's tied at 6. We get the go-ahead run, I believe, in the 9th, and end up winning the game 7-6. To where now all the momentum's on our side. We take the series against Arkansas State by winning on Sunday. But that one inning where you're down 6-2 and you change your approach, you're not as aggressive at the plate, and you come in and you're patient and you garner those walks and you get those timely hits and you do enough to win the game. To me, since that happened, that's not only built confidence in the team, but I think our approach has become more disciplined based off of an experience like that, because that's happened a few times between, in the interval between that game and a few games leading up to what we're going to see on Friday. And the beauty of what I like about this team, look, going into this season, we said it. There's going to be a lot of growing pains early on. You lost Carson Rockefeller. You lost Heath Hood. You lost Marshak. You lost Julian Brock. I mean, you lost some power hitters, even like CJ Willis. I mean, you lost some good hitters last year, and you replaced them with guys like Duncan Pastore, Maddox Mandino, a freshman coming in. You got Lee Amade now in the lineup. Connor Higgs has more of a presence now. You got a new catcher in Jose Torres, who has pretty much become a fan favorite overnight. And you don't have the power from these guys, but I'll tell you one thing that I see, and it reminds me of the Moneyball scene, right? When Billy Bean and all of the scouts are trying to talk about who to sign, right? We got to get this guy. We got to get that guy because this guy does this, that guy does that. And he goes, no, I want this player. And they're all like, why? And what was it? What was the answer? He looks over to Peter Brand, Jonah Hill's character. And what did he always say? He gets on base, right? He gets on base. Why do you want to get him? Because he gets on base. That's what I find about a lot of these players. They don't have as much power. They just find ways to get on base. And the thing is, I feel like our hitting this year, what I like about it is, number one, they know how to play the Deggs small ball game. And when that's clicking, that's fun to watch. We saw some of that last night, Josh. But also, too, there's a lot of selflessness with the lineups, regardless of the different lineups that Deggs shifts every game, right? And I feel like, when he shifts the lineups based on matchups and whatnot, not only does it work, but I feel like the players know how to respond to it. Remember a few years ago, Josh, he did that, and a lot of the players couldn't adjust to it.
Well, we didn't have the horses then.
Well, we got the horses now, and they adjust to it. But there's a lot of selflessness. There's no me guys. There's nobody that's all about, I got to get my stats up. Everybody plays for one another. And there's a lot of selflessness on this team with the bats. And you saw it last night against Nichols. I mean, Debo was the only one who hit a home run. He hit a moonshot to left field. Everybody else was hitting bloopers, shallow bloopers in the infield. They were bunting. Got a few good line drives, a few hits oppo here and there, but it demoralized Nichols. I mean, last night was a perfect trap game, and I mean, we run ruled them. But that's what I find about all these games with our bats. I feel like they just find ways to get on base. They're not trying to kill the ball. They're not selfish. And also too, about the pitching. Pitching's still a work in progress, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now, that Herman Langevin 1-2 knockout punch on a Friday night, that's dangerous, man. And I think once Fluno gets healthy again, along with what Chase Morgan's been able to do, and I mean, I got to give a shout out to guys like David Christie coming in relief. Got to give a shout out to Blake Marshall the other day. He did a great job. I mean, you've got a lot of guys in that bullpen that can step up. It's just a matter of finding some consistency. And once they do, it's this team's going to be dangerous. It's fun to watch because I love watching this. They love to play together. And, you know, going into the season, again, we had a lot of question marks, but what I love about this team is just, they looks like they have fun playing together and nobody's trying to up their stats. I mean, you got a bunch of guys that do it, but it's just fun to watch, not just because we're winning, but the way they play. You have to be in your seat watching this game until the final out, even if you're down by 5 runs, like you said, Nick, because, you know, every loss we've had, it took until the final out to get the loss. So no, it's been a blast, and I'm enjoying this ride. I mean, this is what Cajun, this is the epitome of what Cajuns baseball is all about, what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I feel like it takes a certain player to be able to play under Degs. Like it's not for everyone. This feels like the first season that he's got all his dogs there and nobody feels out of place, right? I feel like every season since he's been here, somebody feels a little bit out of place. Like somebody doesn't have the attitude, they don't have the drive, they're not the dog. I don't feel like that on this team. Now, I think Martinez has to reel it in a little bit. I think he gets a little too emotional. We saw it in Houston. People blew that completely out of proportion, by the way. But I think he's got to get a hold on that. And I think the coaching staff knows how he is, and I think the players know how he is. I don't hold that against the kid. He's got to pitch better. He's got to be better than he was against Nichols. I think if he figures it out, holy cow, man.
But
pitching staff is going to be even more dangerous.
To his credit, think of it like this, though, Nick. Jack Martinez was pretty much a preseason, all-conference or all-American. I mean, he had a lot of hype coming in, right? He was the Friday night guy. Within 2 weeks, he loses his Friday night spot, goes up against Vanderbilt, gives up a 3-run moonshot to left field to the Crawford boxes. And then that whole scene with him and Gunnar and everything, you know, it made the national news.
Blown out of proportion.
National social media and all that, whatever. But look at how he responded from there, right? Most players his age, you know, you got an ego coming in, you know, not to say he has an ego, but you got some players with an ego. I'm the Friday night guy. I'm the man. And then you lose your spot. And then you give up a 3-run shot to a good Vanderbilt team on national television. And he could have folded. He could have straight up folded.
But he's still got to cut down on the free passes.
Well, I agree. But like what I have, the reason why I have to give the kid kudos is because he's learned. There's no doubt he's learned from that experience.
Yeah.
He's taken his role as a reliever and he's lit it up. He's done a great job and he's accepted his role in spite of where he started. And now, you know, you get to see him do what he did last night and get some starts here and there. And then some games he'll go in and close, and some games he'll go in and relief in the middle innings. And look, he's really turned out to be a really huge asset on the mound for us. And so look, it takes a kid with some guts to be able to overcome that adversity. And look, Jack's done it.
No,
he's done it, and we're going to need him. We got a few weeks of some, you know, a pretty, not to say it's an easier part of the schedule, but I know the last month, those last 5 weeks are going to be tough in conference. I mean, Troy, Georgia Southern, Coastal Carolina, Southern Miss, South Al. There's some tough teams on that stretch, and you're going to need someone like Jack. But I got to say, I was very impressed by the way he's responded since that incident in Houston.
Yeah, and I'm glad you made that point. I totally agree. And before you go, Josh, I just want to say one more thing. Going back to being a bunch of dogs and being Degs, prototypical Degs player, in the world of NIL, when you look at a guy like JT and a guy like Debo, you know those guys. I mean, baseball bat bro, Debo is one of the best infielders in the country. You know they're getting calls, they're getting offers, bigger programs are wanting to sign them, whatever. And the fact that you hold on to those guys as part of your core, and there were a few others, of course, but you're holding on to the core of your team year to year, that tells you that they've bought in. And I think that's even more important when you're talking about the Degs player. You got to have guys that buy in. There's nobody, again, on this team that I look at and I'm like, they haven't bought into it. No, I think everybody on this team has bought in. And I think, look, if they keep playing like they're playing, and of course they're not going to go on a 25 win streak. I mean, they expect to, but I don't expect them to. But I'm just saying, if they're playing at this level, when you start getting into postseason play, they're going to make somebody very nervous if they're in their regional. I'm just going to say that.
I wouldn't want to see us. I'll be honest with you.
No, hell no.
Specific to to your point, Connor Higgs were in the meat of the order the majority of the year last year. Now, I know Connor kind of came on late, but he was still one of your 4, 5, 6 guys, 3, 4, 5 guys. Now he's hitting in the 6th hole, 7th hole sometimes, and JT has moved to the leadoff role, which is a completely different role, Nick. You know that. You know, he leads the team on base percentage. So they moved him up to the leadoff role. So he's not back there sitting back trying to hit the ball out of the park, get RBIs, which is, what he did last year.
He's laying down bunts, bro.
He's laying down bunts. He's taking pitches. He's getting hit by a pitch. He's getting on base. And he's one of the conference leaders in that category. So to your point, yeah, absolutely. Coach me. Coach me, coach. Put me where you need me. So the other thing is that, and this is, thank you, Catherine. Shout out to John Taylor's defense. By the way,
okay, I'm going to let you go, but I'm just going to say it's gotten better. The fielding has gotten better. I'll leave it at
but I was actually going to say something opposite. John Taylor's defense at second base, nobody talks about it. It is elite. The guy plays elite defense at second base. I wanted to say that. The errors are coming from unlikely positions, and I hope we clean that up. It's still inconsistent. It is getting better, it seems. But, with a pitching staff that strikes out a lot of people, you can cover those situations a little bit more so. But specific to Jack Martinez, look, you can't MF the coach walking off the field on national TV. You can't do it. So we can praise him for overcoming that. I don't praise him. That's Bush League. That's punk behavior. He's lucky he's still on the freaking team, and Gunner's a better man than me because I'd have slapped the piss out of him when he got in the dugout. So let's get that straight. He's still TBD on the mound for me. Is he a weapon? He can be when he's got his head screwed on tight, but he's such a loose cannon and he's such up or down guy. He's got to find some middle ground. If he's going to help this team win late into the season, he's got to figure that part out. Does he have elite stuff? Got great stuff. Is his changeup and his breaking ball probably the best on the team? Him and Longevan, maybe even Stephen Cash, top 3. But this he hits a guy, very next pitch, talking about last night, hits a guy, very next pitch, hitches another guy. You see him start to overthrow the fastball immediately. That cannot happen. Like Jack Martinez has too much good stuff. He's got to figure it out. I do not like what he did in Houston. To say that he's overcome that, TBD for me. But let's not crown him this overcoming 21-year-old guy. He's an older player. He was a reliever at Trinity, and now he's a reliever. So he's back in his regular role. Like, find the way that he's going to help you to win, and let's use him. But he's got to figure it out mentally. You can't MF the pitching coach on national TV walking in the dugout. Now, did people blow it out of proportion? Absolutely. But they always do that. We live in a social media society. But I will say teams become teams not when they hit walk-off 3-run bombs to beat Tulane. Teams don't become teams when they run rule nickels. Teams become teams when the pitcher walks off the mound, MFing the pitching coach, and they grab him by the throat and tell him to get the hell out. That's when a team becomes a team. A team becomes a team when the catcher, that is his first year and catching maybe his 23rd game, walks out to the pitcher who's probably your most consistent pitcher to date, talking about a weekend ago against Texas State, and tells him to get his ass back in the zone. And when I call a pick to first base, you better damn well throw it to first base. That's when teams become teams, not when great things are happening, when bad things are happening. This team became a team at Texas State, but it started when they blew a game to Houston, and when the pitching coach had to restrain the pitcher coming off. Like, all of these bad things that we perceive to be bad things, and it sounds like Tony talking right now because this is something Tony would say. All of the things that you don't want to see and you don't want to cover and you don't want to talk about, that's when your team becomes a team. So shout out to the boys for gelling together and sticking together. And you're right, Nick. I think we got a bunch of guys that want to win. They don't care about their stats. They care about the win-loss column. And that's what Deggs in particular, but Tony had that a lot too. And you saw greatness when those two worlds collided with the pitching and the defense, the pitching defense and the offense. Now, I know a lot of people are going to give Gunner a lot of kudos, and he deserves kudos. But you got to give Seth Thibodeau a lot of credit for starting the recruiting process and getting a lot of these JUCO guys interested and ready to commit to the Cajuns, because like we said, more than half the roster are pitchers. Now, this wasn't built overnight. We got a lot of guys that can play some offense. We got a lot of guys that understand pack baseball, but we went out and found arms 2 years ago, And Gunnar has been absolutely a revelation on the coaching staff. But the build started before Gunnar was hired. So let's give them everybody that's getting credit needs to be given credit because of what we're seeing on the field, but it's not just Gunnar and it's not just the pitchers. This started before then. And it's happening. You see, look at Chase Morgan. Chase Morgan came in, looked okay. They didn't trust him. They started to trust him. He made some freshman mistakes. You can see him growing up in front of your eyes. I think by the time June rolls around and we're interregional and we're positioned to win one, Chase Morgan is going to be one of those arms you look to. And he's one of a few. So there's a lot of questions. I don't know how good we are. I know that Lee Amadei's on an absolute heater. I know a couple other guys are on a heater. I know the ball has kind of been bouncing our way in a few situations. But we're beating people on the mound. And I know Tony is smiling wherever he is because that's how you win baseball consistently. Consistently, you beat people on the mound. Hitting comes and goes. As long as you can get people to swing and miss, you're going to win games.
And Josh, I just want to also say, I want to add on to that, and this is no hit against Deggs. I love Matt. I mean, I think he's a great coach. You feel like, and God bless Seth, but you feel like this is the first season that Deggs really gave the reins to the pitching coach. Like,
I agree.
Rumors were out there.
1,000%.
Rumors were out there with BJ where he was like, I'm out because why am I here? Then Seth, you saw, Deggs step in a few times and you're like, what are they doing? Is this Deggs or is this Tibb? But this feels like Gunnar has been given the reins and you're seeing the fruits of that labor and you're seeing that come into fruition. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
Do you think Gunnar at any moment said, I'd love to take your job. I really would. But I'm not going to do it if you're going to micromanage how I coach my pitchers. Do you think he had any leverage to say that?
I don't know if he even thought about it, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a secret that Deggs was micromanaging the pitching coaches.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Would have been fun to ask him on the podcast.
That's a great question. Well,
but I think the makeup of the coaching staff makes a lot of sense too, because the thing about Tibb is versatile. He's been a head coach. He's coached pitchers. He coaches our defense, and he's also a hitting coach. So he can do, and I think he's more of the second in command now, the assistant head coach or the associate head coach, to where you could, I know he's coaching more defense, but he also helps with the batters a little bit. Then you've got, you got Zach LaFleur, right? He's got his role, and you've got, Deggs is coaching more of the hitters, and then Gunnar is exclusively pitchers. So the makeup is now you have each coach exclusive to their own positions or his own position, to where now I think the makeup for Deggs, it's a little bit easier for him because he's naturally an offensive guy. He's naturally a hitter coach as well as being the head coach. So I think the makeup of the coaching staff has made it a lot easier. Also, believe it or not, you've got Carter Muncraft on the in the dugout taking notes. He's an analyst. He does a great job with his analytics. So you've got the makeup of the staff, and of course you got Coach Doe up in the press box, right, Nick? To making sure the PA is working. But it just, I feel like the dynamics of the coaching staff this year it fits, and I think adding Gunnar was that final puzzle piece. And I mean, you're seeing it.
I appreciate the shout out to Carter, by the way. He's been there a while in the background, but really does a great job in the analytical part. So,
well, you need that now, especially with TrackMan. I mean,
totally.
Look, what Carter and Gunnar and those guys and Zach and them, they sit there and probably study all those numbers and data that they gather. And I mean, now that's a big portion of your scouting report now.
And not only that, Jerry, but like you look at these other programs, these big time programs, and they have 15 analysts. I mean, Carter's doing it himself, So
it's true.
No, he's also Coach Doe is your neighbor. I'm sorry. Yeah, by the way, when you see him, tell him to kiss my ass.
So look, guys, I gotta say, I feel like, and Josh, we sit by each other at the Teague. Do you feel like
you gotta stop telling people that? You gotta stop. I got people following me to my seat. Like, does Jerry sit here? Does Jerry sit here? You're a celebrity, Jerry.
I got stalkers. That's nice. Okay, that's great. Anyway, so I gotta ask, do you feel like the magic of the Teague is slowly coming back? I'm feeling it now. Now we're winning. I feel that energy. I'm kind of feeling the momentum.
Yo, look, I honestly, if I can speak freely, I think we have too many people leaving in the 8th inning. It's pissing me off. I should say something, and I'm gonna. But I'd like to see our numbers go up. Schultz has been talking about all kinds of stuff with basketball and baseball, comparing the two crowds, which is completely insane. However, he's not wrong that we should have more people in the stands. I don't know if those butts and seats and the tickets sold or reflect each other properly, and they probably don't, but we need more people. And this team right here, that you can wrap your arms around this. This is fun. This is fun to follow, fun to watch. However, the crowd that does show up, I will agree, has been extra energetic. It's been fun. It's been consistent. It's consistently okay. We need more people. Now, we can go back and talk about how the administration is raising prices and all stuff. But this season, you got a product that matches the value. So please come out and watch really good baseball. But the energy inside the building, Jerry, I would agree, has been about as good as it's been in the last few years.
Yeah, it's been fun. We always pride ourselves on the environment and the atmosphere. And I mean, last night you felt it. You felt it in those middle innings where we were putting up 5 or 6 runs. I mean, every base hit, it was loud. Of course, it got loud a few weeks ago when Debo walked off Tulane. I mean, that was awesome, right? ODU, they had some moments against ODU where it was pretty loud. So I think the atmosphere is coming back. But you know what else? You know what's exciting about this? Part of me. Look, the 12-game win streak, outstanding, no question. But, part of me has this thought that it's not just about the win streak as much as it is we're playing up to the standard or the expectation that we've always had even during the prime road years, right? That 13 through 16 run, we always had like a run in the middle of the year where you started getting people to talk about you on a national stage. And we're seeing that now. Now, granted, we've had 2 straight years of going to regionals. We can play with anybody. I mean, that's just how our program is. But right now, our 12-game win streak, believe it or not, is the longest win streak in college baseball. Your 21-8 record is probably the best start we've had, I want to say, since either 14 or 16. The attendance is slowly going up. You have a bunch of guys that are playing gritty. And this is, I want to say, this is the first real Deggs team that has been strictly off of his recruits. Am I not mistaken there, or is that accurate? That's
correct.
So this is Deggs' full team.
Well, Marshall was a road recruit.
Okay, so Marshall was a road recruit. Okay, but even then, right? That Wolfpack mentality is really, really, really starting to it's come to full fruition almost, I feel, right? With the way that the mentality is. So it's just fun to watch. And look, we've got a lot of baseball left. We're going to talk about a lot of it as time goes on, but part of me says, look, this is who we are as a Raging Cajuns baseball program. This is our standard. This is who we are. We've always been that. Tony used to say that this is who we are. This is what we've built. So as exciting as it is, and as excited as I am, I mean, I expect this team to continue the success. I do. They're just that good, and they're that fun to watch.
I'm not excited. I hate winning streaks. I hate winning streaks when they become a talking point, because odds are the next game you play, you lose. Every time you win, back to back, your odds become higher of losing the next game. So I hate that. I don't like it when the talking point is longest winning streak in the nation. I hate that. I just want to win consistently, and I want to play good baseball. I want to execute the game plan. I want to make the plays we're supposed to make. Sometimes we're going to go out and we're going to get beat, and that's the game. I just want to continually get better. I want to be solid every time out. I want guys to make the plays they're supposed to make. If we win those games, awesome. If we lose those games, well, I can wear that. It's the games where the games that we give away. The game that we tried to give away on Sunday at Texas State. I'm going to tell you that's the most impressive Cajuns victory I've seen in maybe 3 years. Because we tried to give the game away on Sunday, and somewhere around the 7th inning, they said, nah, we're not doing that. We're winning today. That's impressive to me, because they overcame their own mistakes and their own, not showing up to play on Sunday. Here's another thing. We've been pitching to win on Friday. We've been pitching to win on Saturday. And then Sunday we hit to win. That's how it's supposed to be done, folks. This is college baseball. You pitch to win on Friday and Saturday, and you hit to win on Sunday, and we've done that. All of the signs are pointing in the right direction. I just hate winning streaks. I just want to win a lot and not all the time because I don't want to talk about it. This is kind of like my Kevin Foote, don't score too many runs.
Yeah.
This is for me. I hate it. It's the Nick Saban rat poison.
But
too
it's
many
not
wins, not good. I want to win enough to feel good about myself, but not win enough to think I'm too good.
And Josh, I understand where you're coming from because we don't want to jinx it, right? But at the same time, in this particular case, I like the win streak because it puts us back in that national conversation outside of, when the postseason comes. Well, maybe they'll be the last four in, or, maybe they'll be the at-large like we were last year, right? We made the national news in college baseball for being an at-large pick, but it's good.
You're right.
It's good to be talked about again.
It's fun to be talked about. It gets your troops rallied. I get all that. But check this out. If we win 2 out of 3 against ULM this weekend, somebody's going to be mad. Well, how could you lose to ULM? I don't know. How did ULM beat the piss out of Coastal on Friday? Yeah. People are going to be upset about losing to ULM even if you take 2 of 3 in a conference series. That's what I'm talking about. Like, people have expectations that should not be. Winning 12 in a row is awesome. If we go 12 out of 15, somebody's going to say, well, you lost to ULM. It's stupid.
Well, but look at softball, right? They've won 15 out of 16, and their one loss was to Louisiana Tech. I don't think, it sucks to lose to them, but I don't think many people are upset because they lost a midweek game to Louisiana Tech. I think what more people would be upset is if we lose 2 out of 3 to ULM, because that shouldn't happen.
It could happen.
It could, but it shouldn't.
People are going to be pissed about that. But the fact of the matter is when you win 12 in a row, your odds of losing go way up. So ULM is not walking in here like they used to with a stick and a rock and saying, let's play baseball. They have legitimate talent on their squad. They beat Coastal 11-3 at Coastal on Friday night. Look, I don't know what to say. Like, we're going to be in for a dogfight on Friday, and people need to be ready for that. So anyway, I'm just making a smaller point large. I don't like winning streaks because it's the odds start to get stacked against you, and then you lose, and people go, "Oh, well,
you're bound to lose. You're bound to lose. It's going to happen."
I just don't want to lose to ULM is all.
I mean, we lost going back to 14. We talked about that quite a bit tonight.
UNO.
We lost to freaking UNO.
They were terrible
in the midweek. I mean, that was awful. And we still almost pulled out the win that night. But
that loss to UNO was one of the best things that happened to us that season.
Correct.
It's true.
Correct. So
it's true.
Look, I'm just gonna say appreciate the damn moment, man. Like these types of win streaks don't happen often. Embrace it, appreciate it when it's gone. Look back and be like, man, that was a great win streak. But you can't have a football mentality in baseball. So
yes.
56 games,
right? So there's a lot of games. There's a lot of ball games. We're gonna lose some games this year that we're gonna be pissed off. Like, how the hell did we lose that game?
We've already done that, Nick.
We have.
Losing to Rice is looking back. I thought Rice was going to build off of that. Rice has been dreadful. Should have never. Now they played the game of their life on that Saturday. They played the game of their life. So I'll give them the credit for that. But oh god, it looks so bad.
But
at least it's not Southern.
Yeah, it's not Southern. There you go. That who we run rule, by the way. And still trying to deny that we're the best team in the state right now. But anyway, the one thing I regret on our timeout that we took is the fact that when we went through the first part of the season, through the college classic here in Houston and all that, and people were hitting the panic button, and I wanted to say, have you not watched the last 3 seasons? Like, this is what we do. It takes us time. We're not going to be a great team from jump. It's going to take us a few weeks. We got swept by freaking James Madison last year, and we were pushing the panic button
at a crucial point of the season.
Right. But I learned my lesson and was like, hey, Dag's team, like, you see this every year. This is how we roll. Now, what I do like about this season is I feel like we are way ahead of where we have been the last 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
So
absolutely.
So that's what I'm liking. We're definitely what I want to see out of this team this year is that we hopefully, I want to finish first in the regular season. I want to get into the finals of the conference tournament. If we win, if we end up first in the regular season, I want to get in the finals. But it's time for us to start getting into the regional finals. It's time for us to start making some noise. Again, it's all about progressing. It's all about us doing better than we did last season. We've had a couple of great seasons and making it into a regional, but now we really got to start making some noise. That's what I want to see out of this. And I think this team has it in them to do that. Because like you said, Josh, you pitch on Friday, you pitch on Saturday, and you hit your way the rest of the way. And that is setting yourself up perfectly for tournament season.
And I think what's great about this team is the fact that, like I said, they all get on base. So by the time you get to Sunday, if you're hitting the ball well enough to where you're getting on base and you're putting pressure on your opponent's bullpen, by Sunday, you're playing a team that has nothing left. And so hopefully that continues. I noticed that really it kind of happened last week, even though we had to make a comeback against Texas State, where they basically the Friday game, the second game, they were basically throwing their midweek nobodies because they were trying to save people for Saturday after the way we were hitting the ball on them. So when you have that type of lineup, I think that to your point, Josh, as long as we're playing consistently there, that can actually come true, especially in that last month. These next 2 weeks are crucial because you have to win some of these games because you will get challenged. I mean, look, you've got ULM this weekend. You've got Prairie View, Louisiana Tech. Then you have Marshall. Then you've got the back-to-back home and homes with Southeastern. Then you go to Coastal Carolina. From there, it's a gauntlet. Coastal, Troy, Georgia Southern, Southern Miss, South Alabama. So it's not going to get easier from here. But the good news is that if you're able to take care of business this part of the season, these next 8 games going into next 8 or 9 games going into the Coastal Series, that's going to have a bunch of confidence moving into the gauntlet of your schedule, which will be in the last month or so.
Hey, speaking of South Alabama, those guys over there, after we swept ODU, they went to Mobile and beat South Al 2 out of 3. Yeah. Anybody who thinks ODU wasn't a capable baseball team doesn't know baseball. That's a good team.
And South Alabama just lost to UNO last night, I believe.
I saw that. And they had been playing well. That's what's so crazy about it. There was some crazy scores yesterday. We're still the number 5 conference RPI in the country, but some weird scores over the last couple of weeks. Coastal's kind of taking a little bit of a tumble. I don't know what's going on over there. I know they got some pitching staff issues. The Cajuns typically play well against CCU. Always have, even before they were conference mates, we've always played well against them. I love the fact that we have Southern Miss at home this year. Marshall sucks. I'm not worried about Marshall, knock on wood. But we have a lot of winnable games coming up. I hope people enjoy the moment, like Nick said, because we have some opportunities to get some W's, stack some W's. The last quarter of this season is brutal. It's brutal. So let's get as many W's as we can now, because they're right. It's gonna be a rarity. Honestly, we got a huge task the back end of the season to be able to solidify ourselves.
So get this. I got a few score updates here from the Sun Belt. Troy defeated Jacksonville State tonight, 18-10. ULM defeated Northwestern State 10-6 in Natchitoches. They're 15-14 coming to the Teague on Friday. Georgia Southern goes to Columbia, South Carolina. By the way, we are, and I think it was D1 baseball, we're projected to go to the South Carolina regional in Columbia. But Georgia Southern took care of business against the Gamecocks 8-0 in Columbia tonight. South Carolina is ranked number 22. They're 21-8 and 5-4 in the SEC. But man, that's a huge win for the Eagles to go to Columbia and dominate like that. And guess what? That helps the conference, right? That helps our conference strength. That actually helps with that can indirectly help our RPI out. So huge win for the Eagles. And that's what builds the reputation of the Sun Belt, besides the fact that we have some really good programs. Even those midweek games against good opponents like that, when you go do something like that on the road and you shut out an SEC team, I mean, there's no net loss there, man.
Didn't South Carolina just sweep Tennessee or Vanderbilt?
They recently, let's take a look. I got their schedule open right here. So no, they lost. They swept Vanderbilt. Yes, they swept Vanderbilt 2 weekends ago, but they lost 2 out of 3 against Alabama on the road. But Alabama's number 13 in the country.
Still, dude, we saw Vanderbilt. We know how good they are.
And then they have Texas A&M coming to or going to Columbia this weekend, who's number 3 in the country right now.
Opponents, victories matter.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, look, that is why when you have that opportunity to play those type of teams, and you're able to pull it off, even if it's just a midweek game. Look, When we beat TSAB last year, we jumped up 15 spots. We jumped up 15 spots. We were picked as an at-large, and I guarantee you, though the selection committee saw that win, and that was, even though it's a midweek game, that was still a boost. That was still a boost. They're important.
So Jerry, I know we got to wrap things up because some people have commitments they gotta be at late tonight. But I just saw a tweet. I don't even know. I'm totally changing the subject, but this tweet just totally blew my mind. Where tonight the basketball team tweeted the MVP award given to Joe Charles.
I saw it. I saw it.
You're shitting
it.
me.
No, I sent you the picture. Awkward. Anyway, sorry. That just caught me off guard. Like, I love Joe. I mean, he was definitely the MVP, but just really awkward that he's transferred and you're giving the dude an award.
Read the room. Read the room.
But Joe, no hit against you, man. We understand. We love you.
No, we're big Karen Crow Joe guys. We're very pro Karen Crow Joe.
That's weird. Anyway, sorry.
It's not his fault they can't read the room.
So, guys, it was a good homecoming tonight. I got to say, we covered a lot of ground.
It's good times, man. I miss you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't miss Josh because I saw him a couple days ago, but yeah, this was fun and look forward to getting back into the groove of things.
Just a couple hours with me. You don't miss me for about 6 months.
Well, you know, the whiskey helps, Josh.
That's true.
So just to let everybody know, we are back. We'll be back next week to talk some more Raging Cajun sports. Most likely, I'd say what? You think earlier in the week? I know Cajuns baseball has a back-to-back midweek games, Tuesday and Wednesday night before traveling to – I'm sorry, they're not traveling. They host Marshall. So we'll be back next week to talk more. We'll recap this weekend for both Raging Cajun baseball and softball. Cajuns 3-game series at home against ULM on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Check it out at the Teague. Now, Friday, Saturday games will not be televised, so be sure to make it out there.
Which is stupid, by the way.
We'll be sending smoke signals to Houston.
Yeah,
that's right. And of course, they will be televised on Sunday, same times, 6, 2, and 1. And of course, Louisiana softball will also be at home. Yvette Gerard Field at Lamson Park. They will take on the JMU Dukes, which, by the way, of course, JMU going to the World Series a couple years ago. So that's kind of the matchup fans have been waiting for since JMU had joined Conference USA. What am I saying? The Sun Belt. I don't want to insult JMU like that. Yeah, joining the Sun Belt. And
didn't we sweep them last year?
We did on the road.
Oh,
And so you definitely catch those 3 games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But lots of great Cajun sports going on at that complex this week. If you want to watch 2 teams that are really hot, 2 of the hottest team, one of the hotter teams in the country, go check out Raging Cajun baseball, Raging Cajun softball. Guys, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Any final thoughts before we say bye-bye?
Nope. It was fun, boys. Good to be back.
I love it when Nick's ready to go. Nope.
He's ready to go.
Like Jerry has the longest sign off of anybody I know in my life, so I'm just holding my breath.
He actually did pretty good tonight.
He did. That wasn't bad.
doubt.
Yeah.
Well, look,
Hey,
guys.
good to be back. We weren't canceled. Don't believe anything you heard from the Boomers. We're good. We're fine. Everything good.
Yeah, and we'll be back for sure. But guys, one more time, thank you to our sponsors, Dr. Brett Venable, Recovery Chiromed, as well as Absolutely Embroidery and more. Please don't forget to give to the Crew on Law NIL Collective. If you like us, please like, subscribe. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. You can listen to us on Spotify and Apple iTunes. Nick will have this episode up as soon as he can, as he spins his head as I say this. For Nick, for Josh, I am Jerry, and I know it's been a while, guys, and we are.
Hey,
the
by the way,
Raging
even if you hate us,
Podcast.
please subscribe.
Please subscribe. I know you love us, but thank you so much for listening. In the words of the late great Big Dave Thibodeau, bye. We out of here. We'll see you next week for more Raging Review. Good night, everybody.
Turn your back